We'll call the meeting to order, the Wicomico County Council Legislative Session 2026-17 for August 18, 2026. What we don't normally, we would have a pastor who would do the invocation, but they're not here today, so we'll take a moment of silence and reflection for ourselves. Thank you. Thank you very much. Those who'd like to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please do.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With us this morning, pleased to have with us this morning, we have Delegate Barry Beecham. Glad to have you here, Delegate. And we also have the Honorable Delegate, Cherie Sample Hughes. Thank you for being here. Cherie used to be a member of this county council, used to be vice president, right? Yes, indeed. Yep. Mrs. Hurley, how are you? Entertain a motion from council to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Got a motion, second. Any discussion or correction? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Consent agenda passes unanimously. The first item on the agenda is a proclamation to recognize the Wicomico Composite Squadron Civil Air Patrol as a 2025. This is the Maryland Squadron of the Year, so this is very big. Councilman Merritt is going to read it. Major Zachary Mitchell, I believe, is great. If you can all come to the podium with Vice President Merritt, if you would, please. See a lot of blue shirts.
Come on up. The more the merrier.
Yeah, congratulations, by the way. That's excellent. And if anybody wants to take pictures, you can come up after Vice President Merritt reads the proclamation and any of the other statements are made. Feel free to take a picture anytime you'd like. You're not going to get in anybody's way. You can come all the way up here. No sense trying to take it from the back.
So, good morning, everybody. This is a big deal. Anytime we can involve young people in things that are productive in areas of our society, we need to take advantage of that opportunity. I want to thank Lieutenant Colonel Murray for bringing this to our attention. We've had many chats over the years, and thank you for doing this. And Major Mitchell, you'll have the opportunity to speak after this, so you can tell some folks maybe some things about what the CAP does that people might not know. It's very interesting. So, this is a proclamation for the Wicomico Composite Squadron Civil Air Patrol 2025 Maryland Squadron of the Year. Whereas the Civil Air Patrol is the official auxiliary of the United States Air Force and is included in their operational one force together with their active duty airmen and National Guard Reserve components. And whereas the squadron has recently been recognized as the 2025 Maryland Squadron of the Year, one of the highest honors awarded by the Maryland Wing of the Civil Air Patrol. And whereas the Wicomico Composite Squadron has consistently served the residents of Wicomico County for 41 years, members have participated in numerous community activities, educational outreach, ceremonial observances, and support services. The unit has also deployed members to assist with disaster relief efforts in North Carolina and other parts of Maryland. Now, therefore, the Wicomico County Council hereby congratulates the Wicomico Composite Squadron Civil Air Patrol for being recognized as the 2025 Maryland Squadron of the Year and commends the members for their continued service to the community, done this 18th day of August 2026, signed by all members of the Wicomico County Council. So, congratulations and thank you all. So, before the major speaks, we had something else that we had to do under the cloak of darkness that Major Mitchell doesn't know about, but he's about ready to find out. It is my honor, on behalf of the Wicomico County Council, to present you with this certificate of recognition for being selected as the 2025 Maryland Squadron Commander of the Year. Surprise. So, please,
Thank you.
offer some comments.
Thank you, council members. I just want to say on behalf of the Wicomico Civil Air Patrol, thank you to everyone here. Just to give you a little bit of my background, I'm a retired correctional officer from the Eastern Correctional Institution. I started my Civil Air Patrol career when I was 13 years old, so in 2003. I have been a member since then, and I made my way up all the way through the cadet ranks of cadet captain. We primarily focus on community service, emergency services, search and rescue, and aerospace education, and cadet programs. Without Civil Air Patrol, I would not be who I am today. And without Lieutenant Colonel Murray's input in my life, I would not be who I am today. A big mentor, and thank you for everything, Colonel Murray, and thank you to the squadron representing here. And half of us are not here due to it's in the middle of the work week, school. A lot of us are in college, but thank you again. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can find my email on the website. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Now we got to take some pictures.
Okay.
All right, we got to cram all these people in that little space right there. All right, yes, sir.
Okay.
And you got to hold these.
Oh, all right.
All right. Let's get all the important people out here.
I need to get back.
No.
Come on out. Jeff, come on out, Jeff. Come on out further, Jeff. Just come on out here, yeah. Give them room to pile in.
If they ask me to get down, so we got to help me back up.
Yes.
Scoot over just a little bit. Psychology. Yeah. Some of them don't look like this.
Morning, Mr. Benson. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. President, Council. The first matter is a public hearing on Legislative Bill 2026-08, an act to amend Chapter 225 of the Wicomico County Code titled Zoning, Part 3 titled Basic Definitions and Interpretations, Article 6 titled Terms Defined, Section 225-25 titled Definitions of Basic Terms, and Part 6 titled Accessory and Principal Uses, Article 17 titled Accessory Uses, Section 225-59 titled Accessory Uses and Structures, and Section 225-60 titled Accessory Apartments, and Part 6 titled Accessory and Principal Uses, Article 18 titled Principal Uses, Section 225-67 titled Table of Permitted Uses Designations, and Part 10 titled Off-Street Parking and Loading, Article 22 titled Off-Street Parking and Loading Regulations, Section 225-135 titled Number of Spaces Required, to amend the zoning requirements for accessory dwelling units.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. At this time, we open the floor for public hearing on legislative bill number 2026-08. If you have any comments that you'd like in regard to this specific legislation, come to the podium, please. State your name, your county of residence, and your concerns. That concludes the public hearing on legislative bill number 2026-08. Entertain a motion from council to approve legislative bill number 2026-08.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Second. Discussion. I know we have Mr. Andrew Illuminati and Ms. Tracy Taylor here today. If you want to join us, that would be great.
Andrew Illuminati, Department of Law.
Tracy Taylor, Planning Director.
If you could, I'd like to do this for the public because these are new legislative bills that are being sent down from the state of Maryland that are sort of imposing a lot of additional regulations, or actually creating a lot of changes in our local zoning codes that are going to potentially impact neighborhoods and families and property values to a certain degree. And if you give a quick overview of the public, exactly what you see as the major changes occurring here. Is it possible to do a brief synopsis on that?
Certainly.
Yeah.
So as part of the state's effort to address the housing shortage in the state of Maryland and also the housing affordability issue, one of the pieces of legislation that was passed in the 2025 legislative session was Senate Bill 891, House Bill 1466, which basically preempts local zoning authority and requires local governments to allow for accessory dwelling units in any zoning district that allows for single-family dwelling units by right. So we were fortunate in the sense that Wicomico County already had a section in its zoning code titled accessory apartments. And so what we did is we sort of remanufactured that section of the code and changed the accessory apartment section to reflect what's required in state law for accessory dwelling units. We retitled it. We adopted the definition that's in the state law with respect to accessory dwelling units and also a single-family dwelling unit definition, which we thought met our needs better than ours did. And then we went in and we recrafted Section 22560 that was formerly accessory apartments to accessory dwelling units. And quite frankly, for the most part, everything that you're seeing that we've recrafted in that section is consistent with what state law requires us to do. It also is worth mentioning that accessory dwelling units do not count against the density in a zoning district. That's specific in state law, so I think that's something that needs to be mentioned as well. We felt that the state law had some parking requirements. If you did not have parking requirements for accessory dwelling units, or if you were looking to increase the parking requirements for accessory dwelling units, then you were required by law to do a parking study. Again, fortunately for us, we already had a parking standard for accessory apartments, so we felt that that exempted us from having to conduct a parking study. And the state law says that the accessory, another very important point, the state law says that the accessory dwelling unit can be up to 75% of the size, the square footage of the primary dwelling unit. Because it says up to, that gave us some flexibility. And we elected to place the square footage no more than 50% of the square footage of the primary single-family unit on the property. And the reason that we did that was because we felt that the accessory dwelling unit should still give the appearance to be subordinate to the principal dwelling. It should not look like there are two primary dwellings on an unsubdivided parcel, and we felt in looking at our numbers and crafting this legislation that 50% was adequately generous for an accessory dwelling unit. Aside from that, we changed the table of permitted uses, And anywhere where accessory apartment previously was only allowed by special exception, you'll see in that section it's now permitted use, and that is consistent with the zones where single-family dwelling units are allowed as permitted uses. And we specifically did not allow, and the law doesn't require us to have accessory dwelling units associated with multifamily in any way. So this is strictly for single-family, not duplex, not townhome, not multifamily, single-family only. I think that's a pretty good overview, unless Mr. Illuminati thinks I've missed a key component.
No, I just want to thank the Planning Commission for their time. I know a year ago when we segregated from the City Planning Commission, I believe there'd be a lot less work for the County Planning Commission. I believe they've met every single month since the segregation a year ago. They've done a lot of hard work. Councilmember Holloway served on that the Joint Commission for a very long time. Councilmember Ennis knows that the special exception was something that the Board of Appeals routinely heard, had a thorough discussion. Neighbors were aware that their neighbor was going to be developing their lot, and now this is a permitted use. So it's going to be on the onus of neighbors to communicate. As long as they comply with the state law and the county law, by right they get it. Unlike with the manufactured and dwelling, and this trumps the rights of the covenants and restrictions of the HOAs. There's nothing that the HOAs can take their own independent action to either sue on whether or not the state law is lawful or try to put more stringent requirements, but this is mandated. It's a permitted use. It's like walking in to get any other permitted use now.
This question I was going to ask, just so that the public is aware, and to clarify for me as well as to whether or not it superseded the covenants, and you're saying it certainly does. What concerns me is that if you have a development of, from what it sounds like with section 22560, under the density, it sounds to me like if you have a development of 50 homes, you can all of a sudden have a development of 100 homes.
Theoretically, you could.
Yeah.
I still anticipate that we're going to have some struggles with the health department tapping into an existing SRA, or
That's true.
them requiring them to expand an SRA and the time frame associated with that. And that's where I think there's some of this, I guess, misrepresentation of what actually becomes affordable at that point, because putting in a new SRA is costly if you have room on site, or expanding in existing if you have room on site.
Yeah.
The health department goes by bedrooms, of course, and so this would be adding a bedroom, and I anticipate there will be impacts with the health department. This bill expressly called out that an HOA could not prohibit an ADU. The former bill that we dealt with the manufactured and modular housing, it was silent on it, so we're still uncertain as to how that will fare with HOAs. So I guess we'll see that as the time comes. Just to give you kind of a heads up, we've got two more bills coming, one for solar to comply with state regs, and the second one, the Housing Certainty Act, which changed our vesting period on residential developments and our time frame for reviewing them. That's also state legislation, and we'll be back before you in the next couple of months on that.
Okay, so the public realize, I don't know if we said a HOA, Homeowners Association, that's what the acronym is for.
Sorry. Mhm.
So, well, I just said the same thing, but yeah, so that is a concern. But you make a really good point with the health department. They would have to approve the expansion like that, but this seems to suggest that there could be a possibility in those neighborhoods. The other thing also, which I find maybe even more troubling, is the section 6, which talks about, C6, which talks about parking. And in a sense, they're saying if you're going to have one of these accessory dwelling units, then you can park your car on the street. Am I right? That's really kind of what this is saying. Even if the homeowners association don't allow parking in the streets, which many of them don't, you now could have a development where you're going to have parking in the street. And it may seem inconsequential, but I've been through some neighborhoods where they are all parked along the street, and it's almost one-way traffic to get through, which is a sad state of affairs.
I believe the way we've written this, then they have to have off-street parking. I believe that was the requirement that we had, that
So-
they had off-street parking. So
Okay.
they
I'm
would have to park in the yard on the lot.
Okay, so I misread it. Great. Okay, well, that's actually good news.
And then really quick, we did not incorporate the state provision about the HOA being superseded by this into the county code. So if there was a point in time when the state repealed that portion or by a court order deemed the state law illegal and that provision was struck, that the county doesn't get involved in HOA matters. All the permits say, we're issuing this permit, consult with your HOA. So that remains the practice. So
Okay.
if across the bridge an HOA is challenging the legality of this bill, then, and there's a court order saying that provision's illegal, unconstitutional, then
We're still okay.
we're still okay. We did not incorporate that.
We've also changed our building permit, and we've added language that issuance of the building permit does not exempt you in any way or grant you in any way provisions from your homeowners association restrictions and covenants. And the reason we've done that is we want people to be put on notice that even though you got a building permit from us per our code, that does not exempt you from going to your HOA. And because we don't know what the former bill for manufactured and modular holds in the court system yet, we wanted to make sure that we were putting people on notice that you still need to check with your homeowners association.
Great. Okay.
I have a,
Joe?
I have a, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Shane.
I have a quick question. I was trying to envision what type of dwelling would be. Would it be like a mother-in-law apartment? Because you have accessory, some people may not know what type of housing. You know, they have those little mini homes now they're putting on. It would be something like that?
It can be any of the above. It can be attached, it can be detached, it can be the upper story of a garage, it can be
Okay, good.
a tiny home, it can be a separate stick-built structure, it can be a prefab structure. It's
Yeah, okay.
pretty much
I was trying to
open.
envision what type of dwelling you were talking. Yeah, okay. You can answer
Go.
that.
Yeah. What Stacy said about the health department, it just goes to show you, I don't think whoever was drafting this on the state level knew what was going on in the counties. It's hard to even get a home built on a lot in Wicomico County, much less get to go for an accessory home. I mean, people are waiting 2 and 3 years to get a perk done.
Correct.
So I don't think this is going to have a great lot of effect. It may have in some ways, but so. Anyway.
Well, I do think you'll see potentially more of it in the municipalities. That's where you're going to see a lot of
On water and
this
sewer,
happen.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
of course.
Jeff?
For clarity for the public, this doesn't mean homes on wheels, right? No trailers, no motor homes, no,
No,
they don't qualify.
no.
Yeah.
You can't put a camper in your backyard and call it an ADU. No, sir.
Okay, just forget about it. All right, any other questions? Seeing none. All those in favor of legislative bill 2026-08, we'll say, we're going to do a roll call vote. We'll say aye, opposed, you say nay. Start with Councilman Holloway.
Aye.
Councilman Hastings.
Aye.
Councilman Wynn. Vice President Merritt.
Aye.
Councilman Ennis.
Aye.
Councilwoman Shields.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Legislative bill number 2026-08 passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Benson?
Next item is emergency legislative bill number 2026-11, an emergency act to add chapter 49 of the Wicomico County Code titled Nursing Home to establish rules and regulations on the operation of the Wicomico County Nursing Home, the appointment of an administrator for a nursing home, and the establishment of a nursing home commission, and aid in maintaining good government, health, and welfare of the county. Legislative bill number 2026-11 is being introduced as emergency action pursuant to Chapter 311G, which authorizes the county council to declare an action to be an emergency measure affecting public health, safety, or welfare in a matter which is suddenly and unexpectedly arisen, which requires immediate action in the public interest. In the days prior to the council meeting of August 4th, council will begin to receive calls and emails regarding the operation of the Wicomico County Nursing Home, including at least one letter from a delegate that represents the area where the nursing home is located. As a result of sudden public concern, council held a closed work session to discuss the nursing home before the August 4th meeting. During public comments at the same meeting, council heard from numerous individuals that raised serious allegations regarding the current operation of the nursing home, including from recently fired long-term employees of the nursing home that suggested that conditions at the nursing home were endangering the current patients. Following the meeting, Ms. Hurley and I began to research the status of the nursing home. Ms. Hurley found a 1972 legislative bill, Chapter 5, Bill 5, that had been enacted by the county council. That bill authorized the county council to acquire the nursing home and it further authorized the county council to maintain and operate the nursing home. The bill authorized the county council to employ or to operate the employment of personnel to operate the home. Since the enactment of the legislative bill, Chapter 5, Bill 5 in 1972, there does not appear to be any additional legislative action that has ever taken place with regard to the nursing home. We know that the nursing home is a wholly owned entity of Wicomico County with an administrative director, but there is no guidance or law that provides oversight for the operation of the 102-bed nursing home operated by the county. On August 5th, 2026, there was a significant post on Facebook regarding the current status of the nursing home. In one of those threads, the county executive stated that, quote, "We have no say to operations of the nursing home," and added, "I'm sorry, but the county can only intervene where we are asked." At the agenda meeting for today's meeting, the president and vice president of the council determined that the situation of the nursing home and the confusion regarding the oversight of the nursing home had suddenly and unexpectedly arisen and needed to be addressed as soon as possible, since the operating conditions of the nursing home affected public health and safety, in particular for the patients of the nursing home. The current bill was drafted to enact a new county code section to recognize that the nursing home is an entity operated by the county. The emergency legislation recognizes that since 1972, there has been a nursing home administrator that has responsibility for the operation of the nursing home. The bill authorizes the county executive to appoint the administrator with the approval of the county council. The legislation sets forth responsibilities for the nursing home administrator, including that the administrator shall meet with the county council at least quarterly to report on the operation and condition of the home. The emergency legislation creates a nursing home commission to advise the county executive and the county council on the operation of the nursing home. The commission would be made up of various professionals and interested persons and will meet at least monthly at the nursing home. The nursing home administrator is mandated to cooperate and meet with the commission. The commission is mandated to report to the county executive and the county council at least once a year on the condition of the nursing home. The bill also mandates that a personnel system for the nursing home shall be recommended by the county executive and established by the county council. To enact this bill on an emergency basis, the council must determine that a sudden and unexpected emergency has arisen that affects the public safety and welfare, and must enact the bill by an affirmative vote of at least 5 members.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. Entertain a motion from council to approve legislative bill number 2026-11 as emergency legislation.
So moved.
Motion second. Any discussion?
I have some.
Joe?
I'd like to make an amendment to this bill on the meetings. I think we should install in section 49-8 that the meetings will be held in the evening. I know they've put in there that it should be held at the nursing home whenever possible, and at the add in there that the meetings should be held in the evening. And my reason for that is I've served on many commissions since I've been on the council. One of the biggest reasons I've heard for absenteeism is because people have day jobs. They need to have the meetings at night so they can have the attendance of the commission. It also will give the citizens a greater opportunity to be there in the evening. And I know we talk about transparency a lot, and I think this putting this amendment in would give a great deal of transparency and opportunity for more people to serve.
Motion for amendment. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion second. Any discussion?
I don't disagree with your point as far as having night meetings, Joe. My first thought, though, in thinking about the membership of this committee, I would prefer to leave it up to that advisory committee to set, and there may be a myriad of ground rules. Additionally, some of those are professionals. I see doctor, accountant, and I don't presume to know, we don't know what their schedules are like. I would encourage them to have night meetings, or maybe they could do something like the council, but I think that's what I would refer to as committee work, and that's my thought anyway, to have that advisory committee. What's important for us is to get that in place, I think, now, and then perhaps, that's my suggestion, let that committee devise whatever rules and regulations, including the meeting time.
If that was the case, we wouldn't have had a lot of these different numbers, 49.9, availability of resources. We wouldn't have anything in here if you were going to leave it all. We just appoint a commission chair and let them do all of it.
I think we're giving the general direction as to what their purpose is. And, you know, there's some level of detail that's just my opinion, that we should leave to the advisory committee.
Any other comments? Josh?
Yeah, I don't have strong feelings on it. I guess, it's important, obviously, that folks be able to attend meetings or at least know what's happening in meetings. I'd say for this, there's some commissions that I have to be a part of that are at nighttime. I've got one that's 4 o'clock. I've got one that's 2 o'clock. I've got, there's the Tri-County Council at 6 o'clock at night. We have daytime meetings. They kind of feel like they're all over the place. But I guess my bigger question there is how are we taking whatever happens in that commission meeting and then getting it out to the public? Is there public meeting minutes taken and things like that? I think that's a great avenue for transparency, because sometimes I can't attend a daytime meeting, sometimes I can't attend a nighttime meeting for various reasons, childcare or other kind of things. So I guess the bigger question there is how do we I want to make sure that we are, whatever happens in a commission meeting, that's being covered or documented in some sort of way. And then to me, that's the bigger issue. Let's bring it up.
I just think that we should form the commission first and get the people on there, because you could have a retired doctor, a retired accountant, whatever, but I think it should be a decision made, and maybe we can suggest that the council could suggest an evening meeting, and maybe we could do it just like we're doing here, a morning meeting or evening meeting. That's what I would suggest, because some people don't like to travel, especially older people don't like to travel at night or in the evening, So I think that we could recommend them to do one meeting at 10 o'clock in the morning, or whatever time in the morning, and then one in the evening.
Any comments?
You make an amendment to the amendment, or?
I'm supposed to do that. I amend that we suggest to the commission that we have a morning meeting and then an evening meeting every other month. One would be in the evening, one would be in the morning.
Just some clarification as a point of order, I don't think we need an amendment to make that suggestion. That suggestion can be done independently, where the council just could let them know.
Yeah.
So you want me to change my amendment?
We're still on the main amendment.
Okay. So do you want me to change my amendment to one meeting 1 month in daytime and one at night?
That would be your prerogative if you chose to do so.
Yes, Joe.
So I suggest I would change my amendment to a staggered meeting, one meeting in the evening and one meeting in the daytime, staggered months.
Whoever made the second would have to agree to that.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Okay, so we're talking about staggered meetings. Any discussion on the amendment as changed, I'd say?
I guess the question is are we recommending, is this a recommendation, or is this a shall, or is this a may?
This would be a
Shall.
shall.
Shall, yeah.
I think we should leave it up to, get the commission in place and let them make the decision and go from there. We've seen numerous instances getting people to even serve on commissions, and by putting up too many rules up front, that's going to narrow our pool of applicants.
I was on the airport commission, and when I first got on the airport commission, they had the meetings to the airport commission here in this building, and I asked why they weren't at the airport commission at the airport. And one gentleman on there didn't really even know where our airport was, and he'd been appointed to the commission. He said, "Where would we meet out there?" I said, "Well, I just don't." Josh, I understand your argument, but there's a lot of people with day jobs. And I know we have one council member that actually had to change his membership of one of the committees he served on because he had a day job and got on a committee that was at night. So, and I know the people that are running for council, most of them have day jobs. So, anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Kind of repeating my, response to that, but we don't know what the makeup's going to be. To Jeff's point, it might be difficult, as many times it is, to find a commission, and I would rather give that group the latitude of picking the time that's most convenient and that's going to get the most participation. I still don't disagree with you, Joe. I think it would be advisable if they could do just that, but I just feel like that should be left up to that body.
And I'm not really in favor of the one in day and one at night, even though that's what we all do. I think one of the biggest complaints about all these commissions is that they want consistency. They want to know it's going to be, especially for the public, they want to know it's always going to be the day at 10 o'clock, then it's always going to be at night at a specific time. So I'm a little leery of that. I would like to just allow that prerogative to be with the commission itself and not dictate it forever, no matter who may be on that commission. It might impact decisions that they make for volunteering.
All I say is, remember the word transparency that we all preach up here.
They still meet in public, Joe. They still meet in public.
Maybe we suggest to them after the commission's in place that they meet at 4 o'clock at the end of the day. And that would be another option.
Okay, all right. Any more discussion?
I just would say one more thing. I'm going back. We're trying to form the commission, so let's get that on board first. I think just get that on board first, because we're going to go back and forth on when they're going to meet. Let's get the commission, because that's a great idea. It's being reinstated because they had a commission before. So let's get that going and then deal with the time frame.
Yeah, make sure that they know that obviously we want the most amount of
Yeah,
people
'cause
there
we don't-
to
we'll
be a
be
part of
sitting up
it,
and
and the
talking.
most amount of information out to the public. Yeah.
All those in favor of the amendment as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed? Yeah.
And the chair votes nay. So by 5-2, the amendment fails. Continuing back with the original legislative bill, any discussion or comments or questions, any proposed amendments?
Yeah, I have a comment I'd like to make.
Sure.
So I have concerns about this being presented as emergency legislation. While I support creating oversight for our nursing home, I also believe this should be done through a collaborative and transparent process involving the nursing home, county administration, our legal team, and our county council. Personally, I do not believe I have enough information at this time to craft appropriate legislation. My biggest concern is that I was unaware that this legislation was even being drafted until the agenda came out. My understanding after our last discussion was that we would have another work session and have our county administration to properly develop an oversight board and discuss the best path forward. I would also point out that our county's legal department does not support treating this as emergency legislation, which raises additional concerns about moving forward under an emergency designation. For those reasons, I am making a motion to table this legislation so that we can discuss this further during an open work session collaboratively to develop a well-thought-out solution. And that is a motion.
It's a motion to table. I keep having to ask this over and over again. A table does not require a second, or does it?
It does.
It does, okay. Motion to table, second. There is no second, so the motion to table fails. Any other further discussion?
I would like to invite our legal department up here to explain their position on why it should not be designated emergency legislation.
They can certainly do that. We have had the appropriate exchange of emails from the legal department. I think the council is aware of it. If you gentlemen want to come up, that's fine. We would entertain that. If you want to give us a brief overview.
Yes, Paul Wilbur, County Attorney.
Andrew Illuminati, Department of Law.
So I think there is a consensus that we need some type of commission. I think that was discussed at the last meeting. And it's really, how do we achieve that? And I think you probably have all seen the letter where we have concerns about this being an emergency measure as opposed to just, we'll call it the regular legislative process, because the emergency measure is a health safety thing. We, as the legal department, are not aware of, state, federal regulators having looked at the nursing homes, said that there is a health safety emergency occurring out there. So that's something we can, look at.
Right.
As far as the commission, I think both the executive and the council agrees with the commission concept. The question that we raise in our letter is, how to essentially terminate the nursing home administrator. We believe in the charter that is the prerogative of the executive. The way this legislation is written, it's either the council or the executive, which we do not feel is supported by the charter. But the other thing that I think is a big issue here is the personnel system. They have had a personnel system out at the nursing home, for decades. They have their own personnel manual. I think we need to look at what do we have as a county system versus what there is at the nursing home. What are, you will say, both in line with each other, and what areas are different, and how are we going to reconcile that? That's a big issue, because I think the employees out there are very much in line with their personnel manual, and that may or may not be satisfactory to them if they are under the county personnel manual. It takes time to look at that. I don't think it can be accomplished by November 17th, I think, as it's set forth in the legislation.
I really felt, Mr. Wilbur, in reference to the emergency legislation, I know it wasn't that long ago that we passed legislation in reference to Title Health, and that was done as emergency legislation. And from my perspective, there's tenfold more reasons to make this emergency legislation than there ever was to have made that emergency legislation, but we recognize the importance of it, so that's how we passed it. But I think there's even greater importance in trying to make sure we get this through as quickly as possible and establish the parameters that are necessary to try to right the ship. So, any other questions or comments? Yes, Sharon.
Talk to Paul about this. When you make drastic changes, and this is an agency of the county, and it's a different situation. You're dealing with older people and their mental state, because I already had someone call me yesterday about her sister's there, and she recognizes the people that were working with her are no longer working with her. And the care, when you're dealing with older people, they're used to people that work with them. And when you change staff, so some patients have to be fed, they're short of staff, they're not offering overtime. So there's going to be a lack of care for these older people, vulnerable adults, because of the situation that has risen. And it was unnecessary, but it has happened. And the care of the people is a main thing. It is certainly an emergency to fix this and fix it now. And the council should have some kind of oversight of what's going on over there. And when you have personnel coming in and we don't know, they're already hard before we even get to see them, they're already hard. So how many people applied for the job? What was the outreach for a new administrator? So you bring somebody in, and when they come before us, they're already hard. So are they qualified? We don't know if they're qualified since they've already been hard. So how do we know? Just giving somebody the personnel issue with just leaving it as executive issue, we should have some say over some department, even all the departments to me, but that doesn't happen. But some situation like this, when the Wicomico Nursing Home is a separate agency of the county, we should be concerned of who's working there as being an administrator. So I disagree with you on that one. We should partner with the administrator, and we should have the person there before they're hard.
Josh, you had a comment?
I'll hold off.
Okay.
Just to clarify as to the termination of some employment is voluntary. So these employees left and resigned on their own. So while that is important that there be the continuation of care, all employees of any nursing home are free to resign at any time. And so while there may be a broader concern about a change in some policies, we're unaware of any change in the personnel manual that the employees operate under. In closed session, there were a number of concerns about prior activities that why the current director took the action she took. So it has not been and should not be framed as a categorical firing, which results in a need for exclusive oversight. The majority of the individuals resigned on their own terms.
Majority,
Okay.
just majority. Dave?
I think that that this does pass the test for emergency legislation, and I do respect and understand the points made. And I don't have to read this, but I think it does mention health, safety, welfare, and suddenly and unexpectedly. That may be arguable. It's certainly sudden and unexpectedly to me because we just heard at our last council meeting, and Councilperson Shields has fielded many, many calls, as we all know. So there is absolutely something going on. But I also want to point out it's apparent there's no governance in place, or it's ancient. The references I've seen have to do with 1972 bill, chapter 5, number 5, early on, and it's all it states: empower the county council to acquire, operate, maintain, and empower to employ personnel. And of course, it says the county council, obviously from 1972. But I just think that we are long overdue with putting oversight in place over this facility. And this is just one of those instances where it's become extremely apparent, and that's why I'm strongly in favor of doing something and doing something quickly. Delegate Sample Hughes, I'm glad to see she's here. She sent a letter, and it was perfect. It really is a blueprint on, I think, what actions that we should be looking at, and we should be taking these very soon. And we are talking about a vulnerable population, if you will. In her letter, there were 6 bullet points that were all well taken, but I'll just highlight 4 of them. Strengthen governance and accountability. Let me see here. Sorry about that. Require independent annual audit of the nursing home. Clearly define, communicate the governance relationship between county and Wicomico nursing home, which I think is lacking. Establish quarterly meetings with county council, but the most important one is the one we're talking about, is the establishment of a advisory board. And to get that oversight in place, to me, is urgent, and I think it does qualify and passes the test for emergency legislation. So that's.
So
Jeff,
let me
hang on a
just
second.
hold on, wait.
James, Jeff.
I too support this emergency legislation. Since the last meeting, I've been contacted countless times by current employees, former employees, retired employees, and the former administrator, including up to 5 o'clock this morning. There's definitely some mixed messaging going on. I've been in the business world more than a minute, and I know the difference between a disgruntled employee who's mad at their boss or resistant to change, and when you have a situation. And to Councilman Ennis's point, we have a situation that needs to be dealt with sooner than later. I won't go into the details of all these conversations. I've actually now have a folder for the nursing home because I have so many papers and all these emails are printed out. I thank Delegate Sample Hughes for your email, your letter. As Councilman Ennis said, that was spot on. And that's the way we should proceed soon.
James.
So my concern was bringing it up was we're not, in the name of transparency, because we want to be transparent, we aren't working with each other. We're not working with the administration at the nursing home to make craft legislation, and we're not working with our executive department to try and build something. We're just going straight from a closed session into emergency legislation, and we're not giving the public an opportunity to hear what's going on. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Laura, What would be the timeline if we followed the normal process of passing legislation on this? As far as advertising, public hearings, you know,
Yes.
are you the one I should ask that, or maybe one of the attorneys?
I mean, the legal department could answer it as well, but, so it still requires, 2 readings of the bill. Today is the first reading. It is being done as emergency legislation. The second reading would still be required whether you did it as emergency legislation or not. The big difference is, after the public hearing, the bill can immediately go into effect as emergency legislation versus if it was not emergency legislation, it then requires the county executive to sign, which she would have to sign it as emergency legislation as well. But then you have a 60-day waiting period, whereas the emergency legislation, you do not.
So passing this, I'm in favor of this commission, and really passing this as emergency legislation, I don't see where it makes a whole lot of difference other than the time.
The concern of the law department is if there was later a challenge to an action taken and there wasn't a basis for emergency legislation, that creates a problem versus instituted as regular legislation 60 days later, then the only challenge can be whether or not there was the authority to do the action, not the authority to do the action plus an emergency. It's been 50 years since the county took control of the nursing home. To now try to create a commission in 2 weeks presents, from the Department of Law's perspective, in the context of what's sudden unexpectedly arisen, it opens up for potential litigation. So that's the concern, not to the structure of the commission.
Well, I'm looking up this membership list here. Between now and when this commission takes effect, I got a feeling it'll be a lot longer than 2 weeks, because I think you're going to have, I don't know any doctor that's going to probably take time out of his day to be on this commission. I think you're going to have problems getting a commission put together. I really do. I think we need a commission. I don't see anything in this bill that the commission really doesn't have any, they don't have any say what has to be done. This is just a recommendation of the commission, correct? Ultimately, any decisions that are done there are going to be up to the director or administrator, whatever that title is, or possibly the county. Well, the county executive says she has no control over it. She put that in a podcast somewhere, so I don't know how much control she's going to want. But
You have to ask her.
Yeah. But anyway, so a commission is just going to be an advisory commission. They're not going to be able to walk in there and say, you're going to do this. They're going to have to, if they do that, that administrator is going to have to come to you and say, is that legal for us to do that? Or correct?
Or to bring any commission into existence, from my experience, takes a significant period of time. Bringing the Police Accountability Board, the Administrative Charging Committee online, bringing the Planning Commission online, it takes 2 meetings just to get everyone together, go and have an introduction, set their rules of operation, and then keep moving forward. In the interim, council can still request to meet with the administrator in closed session, in open session, request certain actions by the administrator to provide some accountability about, the basic oversights that have been expressed that are there. It's the emergency action at this time, as well as some of the personnel issues that the law department is concerned exposes the county to potential litigation. That's what we're trying to avoid. I believe what Mr. Wynn has referenced in a work session to work through the structure. Even respectfully, with the letter we sent, Mr. Benson adopted some of the changes the law department recommended. Trying to craft legislation in a silo is struggles. And given that the law department usually has to execute it, it then creates issues. And there's always a concern that somebody says, you're not executing our will, but the legislation says something different than what was vocalized in a council meeting. So that's where the concern comes from with the emergency aspect.
I
I got
Mr. Ben, go ahead, Shane.
if in a perfect government, in a
Any one of
perfect
them.
government, in this perfect county council, if we had a good relationship with the administration, we might not have to go this route. We might have to form the committee. But if you have someone that's not willing to work with the council, not willing to sit in these meetings and hear concerns of the taxpayers who pay their salaries, how are we going to work with someone that don't want to work with us? And that's the problem of all these issues, not just this particular issue. How are we going to work with someone who does not want to work with us? And we've tried it. I've took her on tours of my neighborhood before she even sat in the office. So how do you work with somebody like that? So what you have to do, some things is an emergency. Because you're talking about litigation, you may have a family member who may want to sue the council or the county for the neglect of their people. So that's where I'm concerned about the litigation. You also may have to have litigation where someone may have gotten fired, discriminatory, and the other reason. So you're talking about litigation. You may have litigation. You may have it sooner than you want. But if we put this in effect, we can basically get control over what's going on in there. But if you have people, all of a sudden they're meeting with people and being friendly because this is coming up, this is a concern, and they know it's a concern. And it's a serious concern. Because I know if my aunt was still there and my brother was still there, I would have a concern about the care that my brother was getting for lack of people, having part-time people taking people's health insurance away from them. That's not right. That's not right at all. Hard as times are, you're going to have part-time. You can't have part-time workers working in a nursing home. You have to have full-time workers, unless they're working on the weekends, if they know anything about nursing homes. And I know something about nursing homes, how they work, because I have been people in it. My mother was in one, my aunt, and my brother. So you can't have somebody coming out 2 hours or 4 hours and then go home. They have to be there at least 8 hours. And that's what's happening. They're not even accepting patients anymore.
What's the personal liability of these commissioners? If somebody serves on this commission or there's a decision made and there's a lawsuit, what's their
They're purely advisory. Okay.
So they would have no personal.
I do not see the liability on the commissioners because the decisions are yes, no, we will or we won't do it will be made probably by the administrator.
Josh.
I guess that's kind of where I wanted to move the discussion. First of all, we've had folks, I mean, we've all been inundated with calls of family members or folks who feel like the institution that they knew is no longer, is corroding away. And, is mentioned that this original legislation for the county to get involved was 1972. That's 10 years before I was born. So we've been, obviously at this for a while. We've been involved for a while, but people have had a lot of family members and folks go in and out of that facility, and they have built many relationships over time. So I think that's why there's been such a flood of folks really concerned that that we need to act now, and the folks that are there now might not be, that their well-being is not respected. So for me, this is a step one. This is a commission to have greater oversight. It doesn't get us to there's a far cry from that and a department where we actually have much greater oversight, and this is within the county. The law department, right, for example, you all don't work for the county, correct? You work with the county. You're not employed by the, so I guess to this point, is there a, what's the next step? Maybe we don't need to answer that right now. For me, this is the first step is just for us to very quickly get oversight. I say us, I mean the broader community, to get eyes where the public feels like they're not currently on. And so how do we take this first step to at least get the kind of oversight that should be there? And then the next step would be, do we need to go any further with that? but obviously this is a very important topic. This is not something that's, this is not, I serve on the Commission on Aging. This is not a Commission on Aging where we're generally talking about an issue for a while. And this is something that we're trying to come up with approaches over longer. This is something that's much more relevant to folks. This is something that people have loved ones sitting there in the facilities right now that are receiving care right now. And so for that reason, that's why I feel like I have to act sooner.
I don't want to lose sight of what Councilwoman Shields says. We're worried about, it's being proclaimed that there's concerns about the legal challenges we might get due to the fact this is emergency legislation. I agree 100% with what Councilwoman Shields said. I'd be much more concerned about the legal exposure we have right now, today, and what could possibly occur within the next month or 2 months. Should we have an unfortunate set of circumstances, somebody passes away in this nursing home within the next 3 weeks. We're already exposed as a county. I think we need to take measures to show that we're being proactive to try to address these concerns that have been brought to our attention at public hearings. Mr. Benson, you had a comment, I believe.
Yeah, just on the issue of whether it's a public, or whether it's an emergency or not, the issue didn't arise prior to August 1st. I don't think anybody on the council, or at least I don't believe, had any concerns, and there weren't any generally recognized concerns with regard to the nursing home. Since August 1st, my understanding is that hundreds, if not thousands, of concerns have been raised to individual council members about it. There was a closed work session. To be blunt about it, the public comments that occurred after the closed work session seemed to be directly opposite to what was said in the closed work session. The concern that I personally have is that after we started looking at this, and Ms. Hurley found the 1972 resolution where it was purchased, there basically is nothing codified either in code or in the charter with regard to the nursing home. With respect, it appears to me that the nursing home has just existed for 50 years. The good news is nothing bad's happened in 50 years, but it's not codified anywhere. There is nothing in the county charter and there's nothing in the county code about the operation of the nursing home. And to me, the emergency is that there's nothing in the county charter or the county code about how the nursing home is supposed to be overseen, who operates it, who has oversight over it. And that's just frankly been discovered since these concerns were raised. Secondly, the law department has termed the nursing home to be a county agency. I asked the law department where they get that definition, because I'm not aware of anything in the county code or charter that defines what an agency is. But nonetheless, assuming that they're correct that it's an agency, they're suggesting that the provision in the emergency legislation that gives the council the authority to remove by a vote of 5 members the administrator would be in violation of Section 413 of the charter. My only point on that is that if Section 413 applies, when the county executive hired the administrator, she violated Chapter 413, because under Chapter 413, if she hired an agency head, that agency head had to be submitted for approval to the county council, and she wasn't submitted to the county council. I don't know whether the nursing home is an agency of the county. If it is, the person in charge of the nursing home was not hired in accord with the county charter. Therefore, she's not legally in office. If it's not an agency, then there's nothing in the law that says how the administrator is supposed to be hired and fired, and this establishes a process that for that to occur. The other point that I would make that they've raised has to do with personnel. And I wasn't going to raise this, but since it's been raised, I am confused about what the employees of the nursing home are. The nursing home is a wholly owned entity of the county. If the employees at the nursing home work for a wholly owned entity of the county, I don't know why they're not covered by the existing county personnel policy. I don't know why there's a separate personnel policy for the nursing home. The nursing home is not a separate entity. It's not a corporation. It's not a limited liability company.
Exactly.
It does not exist except as part of Wicomico County. And I'm not saying that they're not a separate employee, but I don't understand that. And that's why we have in here the personnel manual. It may be that the county executive will come back and recommend that the normal county personnel manual will cover the employees there. It may be that there should be a separate personnel manual. I don't know, but that's why it's in there, because I don't know what the employees at the nursing home are. So the issue is whether it's an emergency. If 5 members of the county council in good faith think that there's an emergency, in my opinion, it's an emergency. Could some judge second guess it? I guess they could. But the reality and facts are that this situation with the nursing home was not known or had not been brought to the attention of the council as a whole prior to August 1st. It's exploded since August 1st. There are 102 beds. I don't know the exact number of patients, but there are 102 beds. There's potentially 102 patients that are at the nursing home. And the care of those patients is a public health concern for Wicomico County. And it seems to me that that passing this as emergency legislation is defensible. The setting up of the Nursing Home Commission, it's not going to happen overnight. If you do it as emergency legislation, you put it in a situation where it may be 3 months or 4 months faster than it would otherwise be, but 3 or 4 months in this circumstance with regard to the operation of the nursing home is an eternity. And it seems to me that at least establishing a process is better than not doing anything for an extended period of time. This can be amended. This is a new code section for the county. I'm not sitting here suggesting that it's perfect. There may be changes that need to be made. It may be that the commission, when it gets established, does not meet during the day, and it may be that a future council will need to come back and amend it and say you need to have day meetings, but that can be done. If there are things that need to be changed about this, then they'll have to be changed. But I guess the question is it better to postpone this for some indefinite period of time in search of the perfect, or is it better to try to get something in place that seems to be workable, that you understand may need to be modified, changed to some degree, and that's the decision that the council has to make. Is this an emergency in the opinion of the council? And do you need to do this sooner rather than later? If you do, then passing it as emergency legislation would seem to be a logical way to do it. The only other thing I'd add is that the council, since I've been in this position, has passed, I think, 2 bills as emergency legislation at the request of the county executive and the law department. One was the bill that the president mentioned, which had to do with title health, which had to do with buying land. And the second one that preceded that had to do with cannabis and making zoning changes. If those were emergencies, this seems to be much more, in my mind, an emergency than either of those. And the law department didn't raise, in fact, not only did they not raise concerns about those being passed on an emergency basis, they're the ones who recommended it. So I think the council, if the council decides that they think this constitutes an emergency, has the authority to do that. It involves the public health and welfare of the county, and more specifically, the individuals who are patients at the nursing home. And it puts in place at least some mechanism that has been missing for 50 years as to what the nursing home is and what its relationship to Wicomico County is, to try to establish some process so that at this moment, The nursing home administrator could voluntarily agree to come in and speak to the council. But if you don't pass this emergency legislation, I don't think there's any obligation that she has that mandates that she comes in and discusses this with the council. That's the problem.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. I'm going to move this on to a vote if we could. It does not require a roll call because it is an introduction of the legislative bill. All those in favor of the introduction of legislative bill 2026-11, say aye.
Aye.
This is as emergency legislation, I will state. Those opposed? An introduction of the emergency introduction of the legislative bill 2026-11, I'll repeat myself, as an emergency, passes unanimously with the county council. All right. Thank you, Mr. Benson. Thank you, Mr. Wilbur. Thank you, Mr. Illuminati.
Right.
So when
Ms.
will
Hurley,
the
can you,
public hearing be?
Ms. Hurley, can you inform the public as to where it goes from here and when the public hearings are?
So the public hearing will actually be held our second meeting in September, and if you give me a second, I can give you that date. That will be September the 15th at 10 a.m.
One question, Mr. Illuminati. Mr. Benson meant agency, it's classified as an agency of the county. Is there any other examples of an agency in our county that, on that level? I know the airport's owned by the airport's the airport. Is the Humane Society considered an agency? It's not?
So animal control falls under, so that's one of those like broader of bringing everybody under the county personnel umbrella. Animal control, the laws of animal control are established by the county council, but though that duty has been assigned to Humane Society to execute, but they do it under the auspices of Wicomico County Animal Control. So
is that?
there's always another thread to pull
Yeah.
and that would be like the bigger approach with the personnel manual is, if it goes in that direction, try to isolate these other entities that are out there under the county umbrella and pull everybody in would be a best practice.
Thank you.
I just
Ms.
wanted
Hurley?
Another example.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda is a public hearing of resolution number 128-2026. This is to amend the fiscal year 2027 capital budget to accept 2 grants from the Maryland Department of Transportation in the amounts of $448,080.56 for Spring Hill Lane and $344,276.32 for the Gordy Mill Road paving projects, and to transfer funds to capital projects in the amount of $198,089.22 for the required county match of funds. As a summary, the county has been awarded state funding for the repaving of Spring Hill Lane and Gordy Mill Road. The grants will cover 80% of the project costs, with the county responsible for the remaining 20%. The county's required match of $198,089.22 will be transferred from the road's maintenance blacktop account to the capital projects account. The total project costs are approximately $560,100 for Spring Hill Lane and $430,345 for Gordy Mill Road. The proposed budget amendment will allow the county to accept the state funding, provide the required county match, and proceed with the road improvement projects. Again, this is a public hearing, and we have Mr. Adam Corey here, our Deputy Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Ms. Hurley. This time we open the floor for public hearing on resolution number 128-2026. If you have any comments that you'd like to make in reference to this specific resolution, come to the podium, please. State your name, your county of residence, and your concerns. That concludes the public hearing on resolution number 128-2026. Entertain a motion from council to approve resolution 128-2026.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Corey, still morning. Good morning. To have you here, we appreciate the updates you're giving us as well.
Sure.
On all your work.
Yeah, you got my email on the KCI. Good. Adam Corey, Deputy Director of Public Works.
Pam Olin, Finance Director.
Do we have any questions?
I do.
Joe?
I guess first is explanation of why it how and why were these two roads chosen? Which I'm glad roads are getting paid, believe me.
Sure.
It's always been a big one on my end.
So these in particular they weren't in the severe category ranking, if you will, but they were getting pretty close with potholes. And a lot of these came from constituent complaints over more than a year's time in particular. So, existing tar and chip, some patchwork that had been done, just really not holding up. And there were stretches of road that could stand to be fully HMA'd, milled, and overlaid. So
is a lot of this money come from the state?
It's in lieu of federal.
In lieu of, okay.
Yeah.
So you've got to do a match.
Correct.
And you're taking that from the roads budget. What other roads are not going to be paved because of it? And
Well, the good news is that we had a very robust HMA or blacktop line. I think that was $3.5 million. So taking $200,000 out of that it fortuitously works out with how much grant obligation we got from the state, where we're not hurting on our other roads paving projects from taking that 200 and moving it from a capital, operating to capital. It's just that when you look at these from the standpoint of development of a CIP, and that's where they were initially before they were removed, just waiting on whether or not the state was going to give us the funding, which they did, thankfully. As you can see, the date there is July 21, so that's after budget being passed. So
no other projects are going to suffer?
No, sir. Okay. No. Yep.
Have you been to the north end of Bethel Road lately?
I have not.
You need to go.
All right. North end of Bethel?
You'll need a grant for that one.
Okay. We could put one in for that for sure. You got an address nearby it or north end of Bethel? All right, 10-4.
Yeah.
Will do.
Adam, are we going to see the printout of, I know that you had said.
Yes.
Yes.
So what I want to do is give you access to the software program Paver once it's uploaded. So the summary study I gave you, that kind of gives you a snapshot with some pretty graphs and all that, percentage-wise, where you are in good, repairable condition, severe condition, whatever. I think that severe rating was at a 1%, somewhere around that in the pie chart, if I remember correctly, which is, it's good to hear. We don't want anything more than that in severe. Everything else on that particular study that we just received from KCI, that's your long-term paving study, and that didn't have anything really to do with these two. We had selected these prior.
Right.
But the good thing about the paver software versus the assessment is it's a drag. I mean, you're looking at just line item after line item on a spreadsheet, where paver software gives you the ability to look at it. I don't mean to say in real time, but it's a lot easier to navigate. So if you would bear with me till this software is loaded, I think it might be a better presentation for you.
So the public is aware, and I know you would be repeating it, but this is a new software that actually interlinks with a system where they're actually scanning the roads. Is that correct?
Two different things. So
Okay. All right.
I can bring up to speed on both of them, though.
Yeah,
All right. So the KCI assessment, I think it was started quite some time ago, more than a year ago, which is a survey of all of our roads, right? The roads, the condition, signage, everything else. All that data has been presented. What that data does is give you a snapshot of your current road condition today, okay? So that's what that data is going to show, and that's how we're going to further develop the paving study and our paving priority. Right?
To decide which roads will be.
Yeah, right. Is ours good now the way it is? Does it need to be upgraded? Of course, you can always tweak things and make it better after you get more data, and that's what this was about. So with Paver, that software program allows you to look at your current condition now that's already in that report, and then pick apart, prioritize, cost analysis that helps you build your budget better for it and all that. So the other thing, though, is the idea and concept of a real-time assessment. All right. I met with a couple of gentlemen a few months ago, and then again during Mako last week. It's the company's name is iProbe, and iProbe is, I think that they're sole vendor with Honda. I want to say Honda is correct. And they have sensors. So if you own a Honda, apparently every Honda at a certain age or newer has sensors in it that picks up every road condition as it goes by. So this particular program, iProbe, literally can give you 5 minutes from now, 20 minutes from now, 30 days from now, the same piece of road, and it ranks the severity of a piece of roadway, whether it be a pothole, spider cracking, whatever the case may be, just real time. We started looking at it. Those gentlemen are going to give us a, whatever you would call it, a demo in the next couple of weeks and see if it's something we want to tack on. It's the timing, though. You know, if you figure KCI just did this great study for us, and then iProbe came along right at the end, it's I don't know. We're going to try to make it both work together. But again, that would be a budget thing I'd have to look at for next year.
So we got three, you're talking about KCI, iProbe, and now you're looking at another one.
No. There's two. KCI did the study. Paver is the software that supplements KCI,
Okay.
and we'll own that outright.
And you're looking, whatever happened to just driving down the road saying this one?
That's what we've been doing for all these
Why are we
years.
spending all this money on all these programs?
Yeah, try to make it better so we can reduce our overall cost over a longer period of time and make it more
Sounds to
efficient.
me like you're adding on to the cost. I'm sorry.
Yeah, understood.
That's what it sounds like.
I understand. The paver software, if I could at least say that, we are going to own that software outright for less than $1,000. So that's not a huge chunk.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of Resolution 128, 2026, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, next is a public hearing on Resolution Number 129-2026. This is amending the fiscal year 27 budget position control document identified as Exhibit E and the fiscal year 27 budget for nuisance code enforcement positions in the Department of Planning and Zoning. As a summary, the proposed changes would reclassify the existing nuisance code enforcement officer position to a nuisance code enforcement manager, retitle the existing zoning technician position as a nuisance code enforcement officer, and create 2 additional nuisance code enforcement officer positions. The amendment would provide for 1 code enforcement manager and 3 enforcement officers. And again, it's a public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Hurley. At this time, we open the floor for public hearing on Resolution Number 129, 2026. If you have any comments that you'd like to make in reference to this resolution, come to the podium, state your name, your county of residence, and your concerns.
Jim Atkins, Wicomico County. I want to take a moment to speak in support of the reclassification and adding of the additional staff for this. One of the things I like to look at whenever there's a proposal to change someone's salary or to add additional staffing is what are the benefits that the county and the people are going to receive. Well, there are many benefits, and the council has previously heard concerns from citizens for years about problems in this county: dilapidated homes, unkept property, unkept lawns, weeds, trash, abandoned cars, abandoned campers, all types of things. This amendment will improve not only the appearance of the county, but also the quality of life for many. So I ask that the council fully support this amendment and make the county a little bit better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins.
Good morning, Joe White, Parsonsburg. I also would like to say I'm in favor of making this change. About a year ago, we heard from the Planning and Zoning Department about some equipment upgrades so that the code enforcement officers could write citations and give warnings at that time. At the time, we had 2. We had 2 out there. This will be an improvement. But my other question is, do we need additional equipment to give to this additional code enforcement officer? We've had several instances, and even some folks from the Parsonsburg area come and speak here about code enforcement issues, and I can see their challenge. I mean, when you have to come out to any part of the county, whether it's west side or east side, and come all the way back to the government office building to write up a letter, and then follow up 30 days later. You have to go back out there. We've had folks who have been out on leave, which happens. We also have to rely on the court system, and they're not fast. Government really shouldn't be fast. But can we be more transparent? Do we need to have this other code enforcement officer? Are they using the equipment that was approved a year ago? So they're out in the field writing up the tickets, and do they need more? That's the only question I have. Thanks.
Mr. White.
name is Mary Ashanti, and
Mary, if you could get closer to that mic, I know you're very loud, but
can you hear me now?
bring it down some. There you go. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Mary Ashanti, and I don't know how many people that you have on staff in reference to code enforcement, but as I ride around the neighborhood and whatever, yesterday, for whatever reason, I rode around West Road area and that area in there, and there's a lot of houses that are boarded up. There's a lot of houses that were there when I was a child, and it's been a long time ago. And so these same houses are still there. The owners either need to renovate or get rid of them because it's a nuisance. And also, I didn't check many Ola Avenue too closely, but as a rule, many times the grass is allowed to grow around Emerson Park, that little hole, the little ditch or whatever. And so if this will help improve any of those kinds of things, and also cars parked in the yard. Now, it used to be if there's a car parked in your yard and you didn't have tags on it, that you would get fined. And I know this because my daughter had one parked out there and we got fined for it. So, and it's a lot of cars. I know if I ride through it and see it, someone else must be. So we need to do something about that.
Hey, Ms. Shawnee. Any other comments? Seeing none, that concludes the public comments for Resolution 129, 2026. Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 129, 2026.
So moved.
Second. And discussion.
Yes. Oh, go ahead.
If I may, there's just one comment. It just literally caught my eye, and I know I read this yesterday. I had been out, but there's a typo in the increased planning and zoning employee health center line. Account number, the name is right. The account number should end in 07 instead of 11. It got duplicated. So if we could make that amendment on the floor so it goes into the right account, I would appreciate that.
Which one is it again?
It's the increased planning and zoning employee health center. It shouldn't be account 11 because the line below it is account 11. It should be 07.
07. Motion?
I'll make the
We have a
motion.
motion.
I'll make the motion as changing the 11 to 07 in the line increased planning and zoning employee health center. Is that good enough?
Second?
Yeah.
Perfect. Got a motion second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Resolution is amended. Any other comments?
Sorry. No.
Shaney?
Go ahead, Shaney.
I just want to say that I'm happy about this because when I got elected, that one code enforcement officer, one, versus 9 the city had, and then the city's dropped down to 6. And I was getting calls, and I was riding around helping the code enforcement officer get complaints because one house had 27 cars, and they still have a lot, but they changed the zoning for him as a salvage yard. I don't know how that happens, but this is what happened. But I'm happy to see that they're getting help because they have a whole county, and it's a difference in having a city. The county is larger. Now, I think Hebron has a code enforcement officer, I think. Hebron, Fruitland probably has one.
And we do help them some as well.
Yeah.
I
And
want to
see,
make
I'm
sure
helping
you're
too.
aware of that.
I'm helping like Mary. I ride around and see things and call up and tell Tony about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully I don't have to worry Tony anymore. I can get another name so I can call somebody else, give him some more work.
Thank you. I'm in full support of this. The software program that was mentioned, can you update us on how that's working?
Certainly. So if you recall, when I came before the council before on the software, it actually did not get approved. So I was asked at that time to look to some other avenues. I was asked to check with the Tri-County Council. They had some software. Unfortunately, that wasn't going to be able to work for us. So as it turned out, we ended up being able to partner with Tyler Technologies, who currently runs our Munis system. And we had some ability through IT and our department. We did not spend all of our monies from last fiscal year, and we were able to partner with them. So we were able to purchase the module at a very reduced price, and also the in-car tablets and the printers. And we are right now negotiating, finalizing the contract, and should have that up and running with training within the next 2 to 3 months, which would be ideal with the timing of new positions coming on, because everyone can be trained at the exact same time.
Thank you.
It's good. It's good to hear. The question I have, Tracy or Pam, is that I might have read this wrong, but it appeared to me that the differences in the salaries in the body of the resolution did not match Exhibit E. Resolution.
So Exhibit E, is the way that is written is the column that you're comparing it to is the 2026 salary. The column that the numbers that Tracy wrote in her memo are 2027 numbers. And so those two won't coincide. I did go back and check. They tie to 26. Her numbers in her memo tie to 27. But the way we have always updated the Schedule E is 26 stays locked because that was what last year's number was, and we just update the current column.
Yeah, I thought there might have been some increases since Schedule E was published. Should we make a motion to amend to strike Schedule E from here so there's not any confusion?
No, because we need the Schedule E to add the new people.
Okay, all right. I'll leave
So I'm comfortable that it meets how we have been doing these things for the last several years.
Okay, all right. Any other questions from anyone? All those in favor of Resolution 129, 2026 as amended, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution 129, 2026 as amended passes unanimously.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next for your consideration is Resolution Number 130-2026. This is amending the fiscal year 27 budget position control document Exhibit E to increase the salary for the position of Emergency Services GIS Specialist. And we have Mr. Lorenzo Cropper here, Director of Emergency Services.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 130, 2026.
So moved.
Second? Second. Discussion. That was quick. You got here right away. I was getting ready to call. Good to see you. Go ahead.
Lorenzo Cropper, Director of Emergency Services.
Pam Olin, Finance Director.
Thank
So this is we have a potential candidate, and so we are looking to, and this is a brand-new position in fiscal 2027, so this position has never been filled. The dollar amount that we put in there, we thought was adequate if we were hiring from the outside, but again, we have a candidate who we would be interested in taking this position, and this is the salary that we would need to have for that candidate.
Questions? Seeing none. All those in favor of Resolution 130, 2026, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item for business is Resolution Number 131-2026. This is confirming the appointment of Brandon McMullen to the Human Rights Advisory Committee. The Human Rights Advisory Committee was established to promote harmony, equity, and equality among the citizens of Wicomico County, to advocate on behalf of the citizens who believe that they have been subjected to discrimination, and to make recommendations to the county executive and county council to promote understanding and equal opportunity throughout the county.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 131, 2026. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution passes unanimously.
Next is Resolution Number 132-2026. This is confirming the appointment of Kanisha Lacole to the Human Rights Advisory Committee.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 132, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution passes unanimously.
Okay, next is a submission of an appointment to the Recreation and Parks Commission by Mr. Stephen Lakin.
Mr. Lakin?
Morning, Mr. President, council members. Steve Lakin, Assistant Director of Administration. County Executive recommends the appointment of Amy Fabrizio Sorg to the Recreation and Parks Commission, and I'm formally submitting her credentials for your consideration. The Commission serves in an advisory capacity to the Director of Department of Recreation, Parks, and Tourism on topics including comprehensive park planning, policies, budgets, and programs, with a focus on serving all residents.
Thank you, Mr. Lakin.
Before you is Resolution Number 133-2026, confirming the appointment of Amy Fabrizio Sorg to the Recreation and Parks Commission.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 133, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Lakin.
Next for your consideration is Resolution Number 134-2026. This is adopting a mandatory amendment to the 457B Deferred Compensation Plan. And we have Ms. Caitlin Garvin here, our Human Resources Manager for Benefits. And we do have Fatima Jennings with Empower on Zoom.
Good morning, Katie Garvin, Benefits Manager with Wicomico County.
Give me 1 second. Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 134, 2026. Second.
Second.
Discussion. Good morning, Ms. Garvin.
Good morning. So just with this amendment is the IRS passed a concurrent.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Yeah. I mean, it sounds really deep, but yeah, I say.
Is that better?
Okay, so the Secure 2.0 legislation was a federal law passed by the IRS just to modernize retirement plans moving forward for employees across the board, not just government plans. But our 457B, which is the optional retirement plan for employees, does fall under that Secure 2.0 legislation. So this amendment is mandatory for us to be in compliance with the IRS laws. There are not material changes at this point that are going to drastically affect any of our plan members, but we are still going to ensure that summary material modifications, those documents, as well as updated plan summaries are submitted to all of our employees that are participating in this plan as well.
Questions from any council members? Ms. Garvin. Yes.
Why did the federal government move forward with this, or what's the impetus behind that?
So to modernize plans, but I'll let Fatima answer that as she's a bit more familiar with the full legislation.
Yeah, so good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Like Katie said, it's actually the goal was to modernize retirement plans, expand opportunities for people to save more for retirement, and actually to provide some additional flexibility around how participants can use and access their retirement benefits. So at a high level, you can think of this document as an update to your existing plan document to make sure it reflects changes in retirement plan law. So a couple of things, or a couple of those rules have already been placed in effect, and with this piece of legislature, it was a huge change to the retirement landmark, and some of the provisions of it was mandatory, some of the provisions are optional. One of the biggest mandatory provisions, as you can see, as of January 2026 of this year, was anyone who is contributing age 50 catch-up contributions and they make a certain amount of money, those contributions will be considered Roth contributions. So that the provisions that are pretty much mandatory, a lot of them have been in effect pretty much since 2023. So each year there's a piece of legislation that rolls out, and those that are mandatory, we automatically update your document for you. However, there are some optional provisions that you all can add to your plan if you wish, but it is not necessary. So basically with this amendment, it requires you to sign, and it basically, the biggest reason is for plan compliance, meaning some of these rules have already been operating considerably over the past several years, and by signing this document, it doesn't mean that you're agreeing to all 41 pages. It just means that you're agreeing to those options that you elected, and you're just signing those things to make your plan more compliant. So does that answer questions for everyone, or are there any additional questions? Or
I think that helps, Ms. Jennings. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome, sir.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of Resolution 134, 2026, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garvin. Thank you, Ms. Jennings.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, the next item for business is Resolution Number 135-2026. This is authorizing Vermeer as the sole source vendor for Vermeer and Wildcat repair services and parts for the Department of Public Works. You'll notice that this resolution number has the SM behind it. That means that it requires a supermajority vote in order for it to pass. And we have Ms. Amy Kernodle here, our purchasing agent, and Mr. Adam Corey, Deputy Director of Public Works.
Ms. Hurley, entertain a motion, excuse me, from council to approve Resolution 135, 2026. Second. Motion is second. Any discussion or questions? Mr. Corey, do you want to make any clarifications? Okay.
Adam Corey, Deputy Director of Public Works.
Amy Kernodle, Purchasing Agent.
Okay.
So it's just another one of these sole source vendor for maintenance and repair of some of our specialized equipment that we come in front of you for every year. Just like Carter Caterpillar with our Cat machinery, Vermeer, and the Wildcat. I know that's Councilman Merritt's favorite piece. That's the trommel. It's named for Delmar Wildcats. But no, that'd be cool if it was. But that's what it is. Those two pieces have to be serviced by Vermeer. If you went otherwise, you would void some of your warranties. That's really the only purpose for the sole source.
Okay. Any other questions, anybody? All those in favor of Resolution 135, 2026, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hurley. Michelle, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, County Council. Good morning, Council President Cannon, Manjli Chatel. I'd like to present Resolution 136, 2026, accepting the annual audit report.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 136, 2026.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Discussion.
So the Office of the Internal Auditor submits this annual report for fiscal year 2026. The report has sections on the annual audit plan projects completed in fiscal year 26, as well as a section called Other Audit Plan Projects, and those are other ones that haven't been completed to date from the last 2 fiscal years. Notable pauses are discussed in there as well. Then there's a section on the status of prior audit recommendations, indicating like some that can be closed out, some that are part of ongoing testing in other audits and so forth. There's a section on quality assurance and improvement, independence. I'm supposed to make a statement every year, an annual independent statement that's in the audit, in the annual report now. And then there's some other items, other things that I've done throughout the year. And of course, closing remarks. If accepted or acknowledged by resolution, I plan to post it on the IA website with other published internal auditor reports, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? It'd be nice to be able to get rid of all the older ones and move forward and continue to move forward. The ones that we have from 24 and 25, continuing on, not a reflection of you. I would just like to, it'd be nice to have a clean slate going into a new year. What I guess concerns me most was the fact that at the very end you made the comment that you actually had surveys sent out to all the auditees and you got 0 responses.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything we can do to try to, I don't know if that's resentment or apathy. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but.
It's very interesting considering the comments that are in management responses when they're public reports, but when it comes to the quality improvement in my office, and I send these surveys, I don't get feedback there. So I don't want to speculate what management's thoughts are in why they choose where they want to provide suggestions or.
There have been a lot of critiques in regard to your auditing, so I thought maybe there would be some type of, productive comments maybe, but,
I would have thought so too, but that didn't happen.
yeah,
So.
0 is kind of a surprise, but. Any other comments from anyone?
I do have my schedule of audits ongoing and the statuses if you do want to ask any questions on those. So.
All those in favor of Resolution 136, 2026, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution passes unanimously. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Adele. At this time, we open the floor for public comments. If you have any comments that you'd like to make, come to the podium, please. State your name, your county of residence, and your concerns.
Good morning, President Cannon and members of the County Council, Julie Giordano, County Executive. I'm asking you when the time comes to table that emergency legislation concerning the Wicomico nursing home, especially because of the very concerning misinformation that was talked about. So just a couple of clarifications. Ms. Shaney, county tax dollars do not pay their salaries.
I didn't say that. I said to pay yours.
Okay, well, they're not used for employees, so we use Medicare, Medicaid, and private pay. Also, it was stated that I violated the charter by not bringing Tina in front of you. You all saw Tina after she was hired by me. We did a closed session, and at no point in time was it brought up that there needed to be a confirmation. And the previous director was not confirmed by this council either. I would have brought her in front of you, and you would have confirmed her. And you want to know why? Because she's licensed, and she came highly recommended by the last director. Also, I find it kind of crazy that you all admit you don't know how it works, and you just pass legislation on it. It's insane to me. I have serious concerns that this legislation crosses the line established by our charter by inserting the legislative branch once again into personnel matters that belong within the executive branch. In fact, this council met the administrator and had no concerns at that point in time. You've met her. The other thing that's particularly disheartening is that this legislation appears to be driven largely by hearsay, complaints from disgruntled employees, and members of the public who simply don't have all the facts. That happened in history. It's called the Salem witch trials, and we see how that turned out. I'm so glad this is amusing to you all. This is a serious situation.
You agree?
Absolutely. Anyway, again, I find it crazy that people are calling you all for complaints when there is a poster right in there for a state ombudsman. Her name is Cheryl Sinkbell, to file a complaint. There's posters all over the walls of the nursing home for complaints. And you want to know why I know that? Because I've been there. And what's very frustrating, not one of you pass legislation, all 7 of you pass legislation, and you haven't even walked in the nursing home.
I know the nursing home.
You have not been in the nursing home with the new director since April, and you just passed legislation to ultimately affect it.
You don't know that.
I do know that. You have not been there with her.
Easy. All right, you let us-
Anyway, it doesn't matter. You should go and meet with her, tour the facility, speak with her about the operations, and hear her side before pursuing this emergency legislation. You're basing it off of what people said here, rather than actually going and seeing. I appreciate Delegate Cherie Sample Hughes. She goes there daily. So I appreciate her letter. I thought that her letter was great. But you all are passing legislation and you've never even walked the halls with the new administrator. It's unreal to me. Really quick, just table this legislation. One thing I have for you all, and I think that you all might find this kind of interesting. I have a paper for you all. This is one thing that Tina has changed since the last person was here. Mr. Benson, would you pass this around for me? What I'm showing you is this is how our nursing home was keeping track of vacation and sick time. Not on a computer, not on, Munis, on a sheet of paper like this.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay. Okay? 120 hours given, 240 hours given. But what's so concerning to me is not this. What's concerning to me is the cash out, cash out, cash out, cash out. This person was using their vacation time as their own personal piggy bank to write tax-free checks to themselves. This is the type of stuff that Tina has stopped. This is concerning, and these are the things that she's trying to change. So again, before jumping the gun and listening to everything else, sit with her, go there, Talk to the residents. And that's what I'm asking of you. And I appreciate that you go out there, Ms. Shanier, you talk to the residents. I'm asking the 6 of you. Go through the doors of the facility with the new director before you make that legislation.
Thank you.
Could I get an extra minute too, like the executive did?
Joe.
Yeah. Thank you, madam. This is why children should be loved by their parents. Otherwise, this is what happens. Joe Venosa, District 7, Wicomico County. I would like to.
That is insane. That is insane.
I'm talking, ma'am. You could. Thank you. You could. I'm speaking now. Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day. I would first like to praise Delegate Sheree Sample Hughes for the very, very important letter with guidelines that you proposed. It's a great template that the county council has used, and I think the public is going to be much better for it, and certainly the residents will. I'd also like to praise specifically Mr. Bob Benson and Laura Hurley. As a historian, I love the fact that you went back and got that vintage 1972 document. It belongs in the NAB Center as far as I'm concerned, because I think it's kind of interesting to sort of see the genesis of that policy. But it does show the fact that we needed some drastic and urgent reform. With regard to the concerns about emergencies and tabling, let's be real. When there's a fire, you don't wait to get a consensus. You don't look for scientific evidence. You grab the first hose and you start putting out the fire. There is a fire at that nursing home that the executive has caused and that the director is perpetuating. You don't need to talk to one person or 2 or 3. There are, at this point, thousands of people in the community that are aware of the situation. The relatives, the current employees, the former employees, and as Mr. Merritt says, this is not the case of 1 or 2 disgruntled people. This is a systemic failure. And unfortunately, it's the people, our elders, who suffer because of that. This legislation should have been done decades ago, frankly, but I'm grateful that the council is finally taking it up. I believe, considering, as Mr. Benson said, that we've had legislation that was pushed through in an emergency manner that was far less urgent, this is more than prudent to do. Again, it may not solve all the issues, but it certainly can't hurt. I do want to bring up one point of I guess, slight critique and concern. This is with regard to Article 1, Section 49-2, Part D. This is where it says, quote, "The nursing home administrator shall fully cooperate and provide all reasonable information requested by the Wicomico Nursing Home Commission." All very well and good. It's a bit vague. I think you're giving whatever administration that may come in wiggle room to delay and obfuscate things. So I'm wondering if there's a way to maybe have a little bit more specificity on that point, maybe provide a timeline in some cases, but I do believe that is needed. Lastly, and I'm sure this will be stated by others, there's a town hall on the Wicomico Nursing Home that will be on August 31st at 6 p.m. at the First Baptist Church at Booth Street. I want to thank the people for organizing that. I hope the executive comes. I doubt it. Have a good day.
I'd like to make one comment. I'd like to make one comment if I could. The chair is not always aware of what comments are going to be coming out of the mouths of anybody that comes to this podium until possibly after they've been spoken. So I would say that for the record, Mr. Venosa, your disparaging comments to the executive were out of order, so you understand that. Thank you very much. Mrs. Shawnee, how are you?
My name's Mary Ashanti, and as always, I thank God for the opportunity to be here. I want to commend this council for treating this what's going on as an emergency, because it truly is. It truly is one. I'm there almost every day, and when I'm not there, I have family members that are there. So my mother was being taken care of, because we're there to see that it is. But what we run into, and I wouldn't want to take my time up for that, but what we run into is, since this new person has been in charge, we're running into a lot of new nurses' aides being brought in. And they're assigned to, my mother is on hall 100, and they're assigned to take care of everybody on that hall. The number is from 1 to 108. and they're responsible for making sure these people eat and all that. Well, it's impossible. It's impossible to do all that, to serve all these people. Staffing is more than one staff needed on some of these units, and 100 is one of them. But this has been going on for a while. Most of the time when I go in, I shake my mother, and then most of the time I have to explain to someone how to position her in bed as recommended by the doctor. And, but like I say, we come in and we do that, but it was mentioned by, I think, the attorney that the employees were quit on their own. The employees were forced out of their position and not allowed to even get their belongings and whatever. And so let me ask this question before my time runs out. What will be done to stop this administrator from doing further harm? Because from my understanding, the medical director was going to leave in November, as people do, but as a result of everything going on, she left. Dietitian and people that take care of nursing care are plans, they're outsourced. I'm a nurse. You can't, some things you can't outsource. They have to be in the place. So these people, we need you all to find out what's going on and stop this woman from doing any other harm. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Shawnee.
Because family members are not going to take any more without taking action. I've already filed a complaint.
Thank you.
Good morning. Samuel Henry, Vice President at Wicomico County Branch, NAACP. Speaking on behalf of the President, Monica Brooks. Good afternoon, good morning. We're here to follow up on concerns we brought to this council months ago because we believe they're connected to something much bigger. Back then, we told this council that county employees were coming to us with complaints about wages, specifically that new hires were coming in about above long-time staff, and that some new hires didn't appear qualified for the roles listed on their resume or job description, or job scale, excuse me. The county HR director response was to ask for names. This was not an option. These employees are afraid of retaliation and do not trust that their names would be protected. That fear itself should tell you something about the culture we're dealing with. In March, we learned about some staffing shortages and capital needs at Wicomico Nursing Home, and we shared them in writing with the county executive and county council. To be clear, quality of care was never in question. This is a highly rated facility in Wicomico County and remains a jewel in this community. We were told a new director was coming in and we were asked to wait and see. Since that director's arrival in April, we've seen long-term employees terminated, positions moved to remote, and heavy outsourcing. Some who resigned did so out of fear. We still have heard no plans for structural changes. The environment has changed for the worse and the community has noticed. As you heard during public comments at last month's meeting, here's what connects these two issues. We since learned that the new director has allegedly held 10 different positions in 8 years. This is not a resume that speaks to stability or long-term commitment. It aligns with the exact pattern we raised months ago. People being placed into roles that do not match their qualifications. We heard the comments from the county attorney, but with all due respect, the health concerns and patient care are the emergency here. The council needs to hear directly from the current and former staff and people who were terminated and others felt that they had no recourse but to quit. So our questions today are the same ones we asked before, just sharper. How are these hires happening? Who is vetting qualifications? Is this about who people know rather than what they know? And who is being overlooked for these positions as a result? We still need to provide, we still will not provide employee names because the fear of retaliation is real. What we're asking is that the council take a serious look at its hiring oversight processes before we lose more of what makes this nursing home in this county's workforce worth being proud of. Lastly, we're calling for full transparency around the new director's practices and decisions. What accountability exists to address the harm being done under her leadership. As before, we invite you to the Town Hall on August 31st from 6 to 8 at First Baptist Church. Thank you.
Very much.
Morning, Mike Goldberg, Wicomico. I've recently been watching some of the county executive's social media videos with a great deal of amusement. Since the list of her actual accomplishments is very short, she is using the tactic of blaming her opponent, Ernie Davis, for the failures of past county councils. But let's have a little bit of intellectual and historical honesty, shall we? During the 28 to 2022 term, Mr. Davis, as a Democrat...
Mr. Goldberg, I think we're bordering on campaign matters right now. I don't know if I can recognize that.
I'm simply stating some facts about...
Yeah, I know, but it's under the context of a campaign that's currently ongoing.
Okay, then can I strike those comments, and I'll simply state the history here, that as a Democrat, he was in the minority on this council in the 2018 to 2022 term, and in the 2014 to 28 term, he was the only Democrat on the council. So if there's blame to be assigned, it seems like there may be enough blame to go around. It shouldn't be placed on one single person. The county executive and Governor Wes Moore are arguably the worst governor in our history, have heaped praise upon one another, and they're obviously closely allied. Meanwhile, the Moore administration continues to usurp the county's authority to regulate land use. My taxes continue to go up. My Second Amendment rights continue to be infringed. It doesn't exactly seem that she's done much to defend us against Governor Moore. Perhaps she's simply vying for a spot in his administration if things don't go well for her in November. The sheriff's office. Ms. Giordano, in one of the videos, intimated that she had something to do with us getting a new sheriff's office. Well, she didn't. By the time she took office, construction had already begun. She's repeatedly claimed that she's decreased our property taxes. This is not true. The tax rate was lowered, but your property taxes actually went up. As assessed values increase, the property tax rate must be decreased, otherwise the 2% revenue cap would be busted in violation of the county charter. We just got our property tax bill a couple of weeks ago. I assure you my taxes went up. Why is she misleading voters with this misinformation? She celebrated the Airport Aviation Mechanics School, which just had its first graduating class. The school is a great asset for our county, but let's be clear, she had nothing to do with this. The school was a done deal before she ever took office. Fruitland Primary School. Although she tries to paint herself as an advocate for education, Ms. Giordano tried to pause the critically needed Fruitland Primary School project. Her concern for our kids is laughable, as it seems that she had more important priorities, such as expensive trips to Las Vegas, money-losing off-road events to enrich her personal friend, and the failed frivolous lawsuit she filed against this council for upholding the county charter, which wasted tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars, if not more. Shifting topics just a bit, Cell 7 at the landfill was scheduled to be substantially complete by yesterday, August 17th. I didn't hear any bells ringing or credit taking for getting the job done on time, so what gives? Is it substantially complete? If not, when will the substantial completion be achieved? Why haven't we gotten an update on construction status? I've got more, but I'll leave it there. Just with regard to the temper tantrum, maybe if she'd come in here and faced the people who had the stakeholders who testified 2 weeks ago, this wouldn't be such a contentious issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goldberg.
Good afternoon. Joe White, Parsonsburg. Had a really wonderful opportunity to be out at the county fair this past weekend. It was their 90th anniversary. And, I help organize a lot of youth sports, and it was really interesting seeing some of the kids who play in our youth sports programming out there showing rabbits, running for the court, doing art projects, baked goods, which they didn't let me sample, but That was probably the worst of that. It really brought a lot of different parts of the community together. And even the fire departments, Mardella did a wonderful job making the barbecue chicken this year. And the Firefighters Association had a booth that I thought was really, really neat, part of a rural community like this. They had a 911 simulator for young people with a smokehouse. So a child could go in the house with a phone and speak to a 911 operator as if they're being coached into getting out of this house. As a former cadet and junior fireman, that was some of the training we went through. I thought it was great that, here in 2026, we can actually offer that to young kids. I also had a chance to stop over at Willard's. They did barbecue chicken too, and yeah, but I was testing everything I could find. It was great. The thing that came up everywhere I stopped was people want to know where we're at with the SWOT analysis, where we're at with fire service agreement. I love the fact that we have the ADU legislation that got through. It showed so much transparency. I think the executive's office did a great job. Andrew Illuminati did a great job, and Tracy Taylor, and of course you all. I think the public can understand the process. We don't like the result necessarily, right? But I think that we should take the same approach. The last thing I want to bring up, again, back out to the county fair, is I took some time to walk over to the Winter Place Sports Complex, and if you don't know, there's lights up there now. And this is, to me, one of the fantastic things where we've merged tourism and community involvement into one. That sports complex now can serve more youth sports locally and also provide us more for like the USSSA World Series. So it's a great for businesses that we can have more events into the evening during the summer. And for the first time in over 10 years, local youth sports in this county is going to have regularly scheduled night games so they can have more participants out there. I know I brought up a lot of different things, but the transparency, working more together, I think is something that we should continue to strive for. Thank you.
Dwight?
Good morning and thank you. I am Dolores Jones-Peters. I am a former employee at Wicomico Nursing Home, not disgruntled at all, and a citizen here of Wicomico County. I would like to say first, accountability and transparency has been constantly brought up. That's exactly what we need in an emergency. And what is an emergency? An emergency is a maximum time it takes to get to respiratory failure. Is it the maximum time it takes for cardiac failure? Is it the maximum time it takes for someone to be lying on the floor, panting for their life, and there's no one there to take care of them? The people that were forced, thank you, Ms. Ashanti, the people that were forced to resign were people that had years of commitment into the nursing home. Not a nursing home, a family home. A place where the loved ones were our loved ones at all times. Now what we're seeing, and for the time, I want to say that remote. Yes, everything is remote, but can we remotely take care of your loved ones? Would you like to be remotely taken care of? Would you like for someone to sit in wherever, China, Japan, Hawaii, sit back and remotely put in your assessment? Would you like someone to be able to put your time in on your life? What is an emergency? Emergency is please do something to do it quickly because there are people's lives that depend on it, not disgruntled employees. Again, there are employees that are concerned that have been there. I believe in 7 employees, there was an average of 100.5 years of service to Wicomico Nursing Home, our home, your home, and one day your future home. Let our future be noted that it should not be remotely taking care of our residents. Yes, it's okay for to have an acute visit if you would like it sitting in your house, in your home, and have someone to remotely come in and take care of your pinky finger. But what about that internalized illness that they're impossible to see? What about lying flat? What about diminishing and no one knows it, no one can see it, those powers to be? Now, again, I am confused at the fact of now exactly, does Miss Julia have the oversight? Does she have anything to do with Wicomico Nursing Home? Because now it's not disgruntled employees, it's employees that are now afraid to come forth, now afraid to say anything, and highly qualified. Look at the letter. Ask the person that wrote the letter. How did that person become highly recommended? I yield at this time. Thank you very much.
Very much.
Joe Schiaffino, Salisbury. Before I make the comments I wanted to make, I just want to address the county executive coming up here. It just appears to me that a lot of times she takes things personally, and I find that troubling. I mean, we're all working together. I mean, the legislation, everybody agrees that this emergency is current, and that the commission that's been proposed is necessary. It's belated. So what's the problem getting it done now? Why put it off? I don't understand the illogic there. The second thing is, if I misunderstood, but when Ms. Giordano said that the council met the director she hired and you didn't have any complaints or you didn't have any say, if I heard Mr. Benson correctly, neither the executive nor the council knew that the council had a say whether that person could be confirmed or not. So I think that was an accusation that was out of place. Just briefly getting to what I want to talk about, there are a couple of items that are still on this council's plate that I hope are not going to get pushed off to the new council next year. The big one is the Verizon building. I mean, that's one of those poop or get off the pot jobs. I mean, we've had it for how long? You know, what are we doing with it? It's dead money right now. The Salisbury Fire EMS agreement. I know the council doesn't have the final say, but hopefully you have some influence and can get that settled so it's not pushed off another year. Regarding transparency from the executive office, there are a couple of items that I know I've talked about and other people have. The pleasure trip to Las Vegas, we still haven't gotten an accounting. What did that cost the taxpayers? The safari at the quarry that Mr. Goldberg mentioned, we still haven't gotten an accounting, what that cost the county. And how much the lawsuit against the county that the executive took a few years ago. And the last item was the non-cooperation with the auditor. I mean, I just heard today that the 2026 audit has been presented, but we're still waiting on the 2025 because there wasn't cooperation. So however that gets addressed, but we need it done. Taxpayers deserve that. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. County Council, first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you so much for reading the letter that I penned. And for me, this is not just a professional matter. I represent, District 37A, where the nursing home sits, and it's also a personal matter for me for having my mother and many others over the years who've been there. That's a home. That's a home for the people who are there. It's also a home, not physically, but for the employees that are there. They look at that as a home because the love that they give to the residents is what you would hope to have at a home. I remember when I first went to Annapolis and served in the legislature, and the first question many people would ask, well, are you enjoying it? Do you love it? What do you miss anything at all? And my statement to them was yes. Actually, I miss being on the county council because if there was a community question, a concern, when we dealt with Cove Road failing septic systems, I walked to the neighborhood, talked to the people, and was able to resolve it right then and there. So that's the piece that I missed. And I only bring that up because I really appreciate that you expeditiously put forth this emergency legislation, and you are boots on the ground literally to make these things happen. I must share with you, the day that I spoke with the administrator of the nursing home, my first question to her was, is the building being sold? And now I have since learned that the question should have been, are you dismantling the nursing home? Through the systems, this is a systematic dismantling approach. When you go from forcing persons out that have been there 20, 18, 12 years, and I've met with these employees. I'm not talking just to be from hearsay. This is real. We have about 70 employees that have either been forced or have been terminated, and terminated over a phone call. Not the proper and traditional way, and I won't go into all those details. But when we address this issue, we have to look at it that these citizens need and they deserve the love and care that we can provide through our governmental process. The legislation that you have before you, certainly it speaks volumes. There is one area of the legislation, 49-5, the membership, that I would just like to put for your review or thoughts. While we have all the professionals at the table based on their professional capacity, I do believe if we take this a step further and have a citizen on there, one that has had a loved one in the facility or someone else who just a layman is in the community who wants to be there at the table, I think that's worth noting. So that would probably have to give you an odd number of 9, so that very well may need to be 2 persons. Due to my time, I'll skip. But I want to also say with you is that it's an emergency. And for the county attorney to make the statement that it's not an emergency, none of us here today are having to be escorted to the bathroom. None of us are sitting here waiting for a meal tray to be brought to them to eat. They're waiting, and they're not just waiting patiently, they're waiting. And then you have the staff that have to do double duty to make sure they're getting the trays out to the people, making sure they're getting change for bed. I'm doing it. I'm there helping as well. Just like there's some of them think I'm an employee. I mean, it's just so much I could say about this, but it just behooves all of us to keep this in the framework that this could be one of us at any given moment needing to be cared for by loving staff that used to be there. And so, again, I will work with this. I will see it to this end. And the county executive, I pray that she calms down a little bit to realize that this is a people problem that needs to be addressed. So thank you for your time and your attention. I'm a partner with you at the table. I've contacted the state. They are doing some oversight, and there's still more work to be done. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Delegate.
Good afternoon. Chris Windsor, Wicomico County, Maryland, former employee of Wicomico Nursing Home, not disgruntled. I was there for 12 years and 8 months until I got a phone call telling me I was no longer allowed on the premises for a mistake I had made. I admit I made one mistake out of over 230 times of doing the process because the rules had changed. I have been doing payroll there since November of 2013. My first 6 months, Mary Schwartz wanted to approve my payroll before I accepted it. After that, I didn't need her approval anymore. I knew what I was doing. She knew I knew what I was doing. April, the new administrator, comes in. I have to have her approval. Because of her having to leave the building for personal reasons on a payroll Monday, and then on Tuesday, she had to come here to meet with county to call another employee to tell them they were no longer allowed on the premises. Payroll got missed. I made one mistake, and I got a call and told I was no longer allowed to come back. I had to have someone else go and pick up my personal belongings. Like I said, I'm not disgruntled. I don't want my job back. I want the residents of the nursing home to be taken care of and taken care of properly. And they're not getting that with this administrator. She has now put a no-gag order on the employees there. They're not allowed to speak about any of the activities that are going on there. They've been told not to speak on social media, not to come to meetings. She's put in place so many new rules and policies. She's created a new billboard. This has not been approved by the quality assurance meetings that take place. That's how rules and policies get changed at the nursing home. Every month, there's a quality assurance meeting. And that's how these rules get in place, not with her in charge. She has outsourced our MDS, which is how we get the Medicaid, Medicare billing payments. I'm sorry, but you cannot be sitting in your home in Parsonsburg and look at notes and say this person needs this kind of care, this kind of care, this kind of care, and unless you lay eyes on that person. So she's outsourced the MDS. She's outsourcing the billing department. She has now outsourced the payroll department. 3 of those are people that worked for her at previous facilities. One of the first comments that she made to me when she came in was that she was there to reduce cost. She does not want to hire full-time employees because it's the nursing home pays the insurance premium for the employees. If she hires 2 part-time people, that's over $900 a month the nursing home is saved. But that doesn't include the cost of the workman's comp insurance and for the other expenses that it costs to hire an employee. Thank you for your time and taking consideration the residents of Wicomico Nursing Home.
Thank you.
Jim Atkins, District 2, Mardella. Okay. Couple things. First off, today is August 18th. Fiscal year 27 budget went into effect July the 1st. That was 33 work days ago for the county. The budget showed a proposed salary at that point in time for a GIS position at Emergency Services. Speaking with Mrs. Taylor, it was a great relief for planning and zoning to have the Emergency Services GIS burden taken away from them. But today you approved an offer of $79,980 for an employee because of their experience in education. So does that mean when the budget was presented to you and you approved a salary of $74,000 that they were planning on hiring an unexperienced, uneducated person? Or is just some more example of the budget that you get to approve and look at is a bunch of numbers thrown together to make the budget balanced at the time they get done? Because if they can't hire for somebody for $74,000, they've got to pay them $79,900. Why didn't they put $79,900 in there? So there's all these things throughout the year that keep increasing the budget, but the budget's balanced, okay? County executive came in to make a public comment, but she didn't choose to participate in the earlier discussion today about the nursing home. She didn't choose to participate 2 weeks ago when we had a full house of citizens concerned about the nursing home. But after emergency legislation is adopted, she wants to come in and make a statement. She talks about someone using the nursing home as their personal piggy bank. To make this comment after failing to cooperate with the internal auditor during recent audits concerning gift cards, grant audits, safari at the quarry, and any other audit that the internal auditor has tried to do, it takes a lot of nerve. And then finally, to stand up here and misquote a county councilwoman and the county council attorney on comments they made 30 minutes ago, it's unbelievable. Come in the room, listen to what people have to say, pay attention to when they speak, And you don't have to come up here and misquote them. Thank you.
Seeing none, council comments. Dave?
Just a little more insight, in addition to what I said previously, why I 100% support the emergency legislation. For me, it would be irresponsible to not take action and to not take action immediately. Mr. Benson made a comment, 3 or 4 months, if that's the time frame between emergency versus regular, is an eternity if you're a family member or if you're a resident. And that's pretty strong comment there. I heard the law department talk about the risk of litigation, and that is a possibility, and their point is well taken. But there's also a risk regarding the quality of care, and that's priority number one. The commission or the advisory board is not just advisory, it's oversight, and that's what seems to be sorely needed in our governance. Back to Delegate Sample Hughes's letter, is in sore need of updating since 1972, 54 years ago. Granted, I have not visited the nursing home. I did some years ago when looking at care for my mom. And we are reacting to information we're hearing from the public. Overwhelming information from our last meeting was some 25, 30 people, and I can't say how many phone calls we've all received, but especially Ms. Shields. So that's the urgency. It's to get this commission in place so that we can get real oversight in place as soon as possible. There are business needs and systems that I understand are being put in place, and I'm going to read directly from Delegate Hughes' letter about that. While I recognize that every organization must continue to improve and that change is often necessary, change must also be measured against one fundamental question: does it improve the quality of care for the residents? And that's the real bottom line here. And I just can't thank Delegate Hughes enough for your leadership, and also the fact that you spent so much time and I'm sure blood, sweat, and tears at that facility, and your care really shows through. But I appreciate also that insight, because you are the person that's boots on the ground there. So thank you very much.
Any other comments?
I want to
Shani?
say something. When I first got the call, I didn't get it from a disgruntled employee. I got the call from a person whose mother had been there 2.5 years, but she loved the nursing home because of the care her mother got. After that, her church was coming and giving services once a month. And she saw what was going on in the nursing home, and it concerned her because she saw the deterioration of how the employees were being treated, and she was worried about what would happen with the residents when would they be neglected. And she did not want to see the nursing home to go down. When I got the phone call, I called the personnel department here, the human resource department. Then I called Cherie the same day. I called John the same day, and I left a message for the NAACP president, and also left a message for Julie Giordano telling her it was about the nursing home. I never received a call from her, because she probably knew what I was calling about. And I never received a call from Monica, so I called her back and told her, I know she was busy or whatever, but I did call Monica back and told her. I thought these were the people that needed to know what was going on to the nursing home. But after that, I got calls from employees. I've had employees come to my home. I told them, come to my home and talk. Now you hear that there's a gag order. To me, that's, what is the First Amendment, right? A gag order, that they can't discuss what's going on in that nursing home. It's something not right. And I always use the example, because you know how I am. It's like a cancer that's gone through that nursing home and tearing it up. And the emergency legislation is the cure. That's how I look at it. Yes, we didn't ask no questions. We didn't object to the new administrator because she was already hard. We did question her longevity on her jobs because they had 3 months here, 6 months there, a year here. So there was no longevity in any of these kind of jobs. But she was already hard, so what we're going to do, say fire her when the Julie already hired her? You couldn't do that. We couldn't do it. So these complaints are legitimate, and far as I'm concerned, the administrators don't love her job, don't love the people. You got to be a people person, and that's what you need. You have to have compassion. You've got to be humble. Now, if she wanted to talk to the council members, she knows how to get up with me. I know she knows how to get with me. She could have called me as her representative, the council. I would have been glad to go meet with her. When she knew I was getting these calls, why didn't she call and justify what she was doing? She never did that. She has not reached out to me at all. Why should I have reached out to her? That's all I got to say.
Thanks, Jenny. Any other?
Reaching out to her.
Joe?
I don't hardly know where to start. so much going on. The county fair.
That would be a first.
I didn't make it Friday night for the ribbon cutting. I had a celebration of life I had to go to, but I did get there Saturday. I want to thank everybody who helped put that on, all the vendors, all the participants that went out and entered their fruits and vegetables and their animals and all that. It was a great event. Spent, I don't know, about 3 hours out there walking around, seeing a lot of people. The nursing home. County executive, her statement, I was probably, I don't know when she was born, but I was walking the halls of the nursing home in the 70s when my great-grandmother was in there. And I've had numerous family members and friends in the nursing home since then. I've recommended that nursing home over the years to folks. At one time, a couple, maybe 3 directors ago out there, we used to get invitations for the Christmas party to go out. The council did to celebrate with the residents. Haven't seen those lately. Talking about complaints, I've had very few complaints about the nursing home over the years, and I've always said it was one of the jewels in Wicomico County. One of the things that I thought the county did right. But 2 complaints I had. One is the prior director, about the prior director. A young lady called me, her father was in there, and I told her, I said, you call the director, tell her I called, tell her I said to talk to you and see if you can't get this straightened out. Well, she called me back, she said the director wouldn't talk to her, so that didn't go anywhere. The other complaint I just had this past week, and we've heard numerous complaints, but this one I want to point out. This one person said there was a language barrier between some of the employees and the residents. And quickly it popped into my head about these truck drivers that are driving these trucks up and down the road that can't read road signs. So they're hiring people that can't speak English, trying to take care of people that can't hear. Most of these older folks can't hear very well. I'm getting to be one of them. Hearing's going a little, and I find that to be very concerning. So that's the other complaint. The posters they say that's out there, I guess they're not working, but people in this county elect this council and elect the county executive and the other elected officials. They don't want to be talking to somebody in Annapolis or Baltimore or wherever. They want to be talking to the people that's knocked on their door and asked them to vote for them. So that's why we get the complaints, and that's why we address this. I don't think this particular legislation is perfect. I think there's some changes that need to be done. I think it can be amended, and it probably will be in the future. So heard about this at the podium today about the things that's not been done. The SWOT analysis of Verizon building, fire service agreement. Yeah, you're right. Most of that has to come from the county executive, and some of it's been brought over to us and we've not agreed to, and it's had to go back and be reworked. But the Las Vegas trip that somebody mentioned at the podium, I find most interesting because we have requested the earlier part of last week, middle of last week, for all the accounting, the money that was spent there on that trip. So we had, I think it was the county executive, the director of administration, and the assistant director of administration all went to Las Vegas. And so who was in charge while they were gone? I know they've got their cell phones, okay, so that might be one reason they can operate the county while they're not here. The most interesting thing was there was a newspaper article that said the county executive was touting bringing a fast food restaurant to the county due to that trip. Well, the applications to the city was made before the trip took place from that fast food restaurant. So how do you do that? How does that work out? I guess hopefully, being this fast food restaurant's coming to town, that she'll be dining there instead of the most expensive restaurant in Salisbury and charging it to the county taxpayers. So that maybe that'll be the best part that comes out of that whole trip. I think that's all I have written down here. Thank you, John. Yeah.
I don't want to pile on. I'll just say regarding the, well, you know, there's a phrase that says if you have two ants in your kitchen, you don't have a 2-ant problem. You know, when it comes to the nursing home, we've gotten more than enough complaints, and I don't doubt that there's a whole lot more that's out there. Obviously, we just need to get this thing back on track and get it to be back to be the jewel that it has been known to be. And so, you know, this legislation is just a first step in making that happen. But I did want to, of course, thank Sri Sample Hughes, especially your letter was really so well written, and then the community that's come out, you know, very well articulated. So we'll continue to work on it. The last thing I just want to say also is I just want to acknowledge the passing of two former Wicomico County school board members, Michael Murray and Ron Willey, just passed a recent, and I didn't even know about it until earlier today. I just happened to find out. So much love to all of them and to their families, and thank you them for their service.
Jeff.
I'm good.
James.
I'm good.
Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. Whew. The statement that the council members have not visited the nursing home, that's false. I've been there 5 times since I've been in office. First time was a planned visit arranged by Mrs. Hurley in January of 2023, right after we were elected. I went in there, and as I stated before, it was one of the cleanest buildings I've ever seen, most well-run. Employees were well-dressed, polite. The building did not smell. And I'll be honest with you, I've never been in a nursing home that did not smell. So I thought, well, man, they really cleaned this place up. Well, the other 4 times I went in there, I went in on my own, unannounced. And I saw the same thing. Now, I will give the executive one thing. I've not met with the new director other than in the closed session. We're not allowed to talk about that. But what I can say is what we heard in the closed session and what we heard at the last meeting were 180 degrees apart. It was made mention of posters and ombudsman and all that. That's great. If you're hiring people that don't speak English, how do you expect them to read the posters? Now for my comments. I do want to thank everybody that came out today. As Joe said, the Wicomico County Fair, it was great. Shout out to the team that put that event together. 90 years, it's a milestone. Over the last 2 weeks, we've received a barrage of emails, text messages, and phone calls about the Wicomico nursing home. The last 2 weeks, I've had conversations with current, former, and retired employees and the former director. Many conversations, all printed out in a folder that's approaching 1 inch thick now. This situation is not unlike an onion. Each layer that gets peeled off, we find out more stuff. We're still trying to figure out exactly what is happening, but I stated before, I've spent over 50 years in the business world, and I know the difference between a disgruntled employee who had a bad day or is mad at their boss or something like that, and when you have a situation that needs to be addressed. And we're in the second one. We got a situation. I was hoping after the last meeting things would settle down with the false, defamatory, and unprofessional statements being made, but apparently I need to manage my expectations. In a recent interview, the executive was asked about the accusations regarding my former business and the No Queens movement. Those accusations were proven false at the last meeting, and the response in this interview from the executive was that it was her, quote, opinion based on information that she received from several people. The lack of professionalism in that statement is beyond measure. To take unverified information and put it out in the public in an effort to cast a shadow on anyone, including an elected official, is not a sign of leadership, but it is a sign of weakness. If that wasn't enough, in the same interview, an allegation was made again about my former business providing printing services for the Question A movement back in 2024. This allegation included saying the business received a cease and desist order regarding the artwork on one of the mailers that was sent out. Again, a simple phone call would have answered all the questions and prevented what I'm about to share. The facts are, yes, my former business did provide printing services to the PAC that had the authority over Question A, as we provided services to various Republican campaigns, Democrat campaigns, independent campaigns, businesses, nonprofits, all transactions, thousands of transactions over the 16 years we've had the business. One thing you learn in business very quickly, you don't choose your customers choose you. You treat everybody fairly. You treat everybody equally. You don't have favorites. You don't have opinions. I personally disagree with some of the stuff that we've printed over the years. It's not my place to disagree. They're a customer, and it's a business relationship. If you had any business acumen, you would know that. Pardon me, I lost my place. We did not create the artwork for the mailers, and we did not receive a cease and desist order, so that is a false and defamatory statement. I was going to play the clips of this interview, but I'm actually trying to get out of here before 4 o'clock. If you would like to contact me directly, I would be happy to send the clips with the timestamp so you don't have to listen to something between a 20 and 45-minute interview. I get asked from time to time why the council can't get along with the executive. My standard response is there are strong personalities on both sides, and hopefully things will improve. Here's an example of what we have dealt with for almost 4 years. On August 7th, the council administrator was requested to send an email to the director of administration asking for a status on the personnel manual, SWOT analysis, the Verizon building, the GOB security, the fire service agreement, and the salary study. All these projects have been ongoing for a long period of time, and we just wanted an update on where they were. We had hoped that the reply would simply answer the questions, but instead we got a response back from the county executive that started, and I quote, "The level of disconnect and frankly incompetence reflected in this list is concerning," end quote. And it went downhill from there. While I will acknowledge that there is fault all around and nobody is perfect, you have to admit it is difficult to have a productive relationship with dialogues like this. I will close by saying that in addition to all the emails, videos, and screenshots that I have saved, I have also put together a folder for each situation that the council has had to deal with over the years. I have folders for safari at the quarry, the improper hiring of the assistant county administrator, 2 folders for the collective bargaining agreement, the landfill, dredge spoils, tipping fee increase, kennel legislation, and now the Wicomico nursing home, and many more. I have now run out of room in the filing cabinet in my home, so I've ordered a large capacity file cabinet because we have 3 months left, and I will bet that there are still a few more controversies out there that are probably going to pop up. All this being said, I don't want this to be perceived as an attack or, quote, going after someone or any group of people. This is a response to the barrage of false, defamatory, and unprofessional statements that people in leadership positions are making, which is deeply concerning and worthy of a response. I thank you for your time and allowing me to share my comments. That's all I got.
Under our presidential comments, I'd like to thank the public for their input and taking their time to come here and speak at the podium, as well as for the staff. We understand just as much as you do that it's not always an easy thing to come to a podium and speak publicly, and everybody actually did an excellent job in presenting their case, and we do appreciate that. I'd also like to thank the council itself as a body and our staff, and Mr. Benson in particular, for helping us put this legislation together and for their resolve. Also, as was stated earlier, I'm really not so sure why there's so much pushback and so much anxiety on the part of the administration in regard to this emergency legislation. Usually people complain because government acts too slow, not because government acts too fast. You know, the executive branch and the council agreed early on, very early on, as this all began, that it was imperative to move forward on this and to address this situation and to get, and for the most part, address the concerns, but even more so to get a commission in place so that we could then move forward and see where we were as a county as a whole. And that's pretty much exactly as we did. That's exactly what was done. So I don't understand, again, how you can have that type of pushback on what I would consider to be proactive measures. Measures that also, in my opinion, are hopefully helping to keep Wicomico County from any exposure of any potential litigation that may come about over even the next month, should there be any type of an accident at this nursing home. Right now, we're in a very precarious situation because it's all been brought to our attention. And the worst thing you can do is to walk in court and for a judge to say it was brought to your attention, but you did nothing, never sits well. So we can at least say, good or bad, we have taken the measures necessary to help protect the citizens of Wicomico County and the individuals in the nursing home, hopefully the staff and the patients as well. That, I think, is the highest priority. And I don't want to also lose sight of the fact that this was an introduction of legislation. We had the same thing with the dog kennel. It's an introduction. It's out there for the public. It'll come back to this table for a final vote on the legislative bill. Anytime between today and at that point in time, any person in the public, the executive, and the attorneys can come back to this county council, can go to Mr. Benson and say, here's where we'd like to amend this, to correct this, to maybe tweak this, to make it a more perfect legislative bill. So I don't know why today there is so much criticism towards an act that I think has done nothing more than to move the county forward and to try to see some resolution to what we consider to be a very, very serious issue. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. I don't often get applauded. But I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn so we can go into open work session. We will take about a half an hour recess in between.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, we're reconvening as the Wicomico County Council for August 18th, 2026, legislative session 2026-17. We're in an open work session, and the topic for this work session is with our HR department, our manager, and Scarvin. It's good to have you here. If you could, from my left to right, state your name and your title for the public record. Thank you.
Caitlin Garvin, Benefits Manager for Wicomico County.
Pam Olin, Finance Director.
Joshua Weaver, Associate Consultant at Bolton.
Brittany Brewer, Senior Vice President at Bolton.
Okay, and what the topic here is that the over 65 retiree health insurance program. Not many of us have any interest in that, but we'll go ahead and we'll humor you anyway.
So our over 65 retirees are on a different plan year than our regular employees. Our regular employees are currently on a September 1st through August 31st plan year. And that plan year is also for our retirees who are under 65. They are all on the same health insurance plan. Over 65, they have to be part of a Medicare plan, and a Medicare plan that operates on a calendar year. Last year, we got our renewal rates from United Healthcare, who is our current provider, in December, and had a significant shock as to the dollar amount that those were going to go up. And with that, HR, finance, and in discussions with Bolton, our consultant, we made the decision that we were going to go out to RFP this year to look for a different plan. With that RFP, we have gone through that process. We had 3 bidders. Our current vendor, United Healthcare, did bid, Aetna, and CareFirst Blue Cross Blue Shield. And any of them can correct me if I state something wrong, but we currently have a plan that is, what is the term where it's combined?
Combined.
Okay, so
Integrated.
an integrated plan, that's the word I was looking for, an integrated plan, such that we get one, that their health insurance, their prescription drug, all of it is under one plan. We asked for the vendors to bid an integrated plan. We also asked them to bid a non-integrated plan, which basically carves out the prescription drugs into a separate plan. When we did our best and final, and all of that was happening last week, the determination was made that the best plan for our retirees with the best coverage, if not better coverage than what they currently have, a better network than what they currently have, and a decreased cost would be to go with the non-integrated plan from Aetna. As such, we're currently being charged $546 per month by United Healthcare. If we had wanted to stay with an integrated plan with United Healthcare, it was going to go up to $623 per month. A non-integrated plan with United Healthcare was going to only go up to $563, but it was still going to go up. CareFirst does not offer a non-integrated plan, and their plan design wasn't quite as robust as what Aetna was. But the cheapest offering that we had across everybody was the non-integrated plan with Aetna at $488.05. What that means, yes, the county will save money, but our retirees will save $10 per month, so $120 a year in savings just by switching to the fact that, yes, they will receive more than one bill, but they will have this same level of coverage, a better network than what they currently have, and possibly better coverage. And we will be rolling in, all 3 of them would have done this, but we will be rolling in a entity, and it's included in the cost, called Retiree First, that will help with the transition and also help with management of their coverage. And so our recommendation part of the reason why we asked for this work session today is that to be able to implement this for a January 1st renewal is we need this on the next agenda for council to approve a resolution to allow us to switch and contract. We will not have the contract written. You will just be, we will be going back and forth with attorneys and giving the approval for the executive to sign the contract with Aetna to allow us to go with them and save money for our retirees as well as the county while still maintaining the benefits that they already have.
Good, good. Joe?
This isn't the first rodeo with this. You know, we did this a few years ago and received quite a few complaints because retirees couldn't buy their prescriptions from the drugstore that they wanted to. Is there going to be any restrictions on where they can buy, retirees can buy their prescriptions, or is there going to be any prescriptions that are going to be cut out of this?
I can speak to that. So we do typically go through a formulary analysis. That was part of our discussion. You know, in any sort of change, even if you were to stick with the same carrier, there's going to be a certain level of disruption from year to year. The Aetna 5-tier formulary is very similar to the United Healthcare formulary currently, and we didn't flag any, you know, extreme.
It's a similar plan with little deviations. I mean, what happened? I mean, this was a big deal years ago. I mean, you know, we had meetings about this with retirees coming up here, and when you change plans and you're saying it's going to save a lot of money, if it does, that's great. But, you know, you might save a lot of money buying a sandwich somewhere, and it might not be as good a sandwich as what you bought somewhere else. But if how many retirees do we have on this plan? How many over 65 employees?
282.
282.
So again, the advantage to us rolling in the retiree first product as well will also help manage those speed bumps that could be encountered, where in the past all we had was our HR department to be able to do that management. We will have another entity that's their product. Their product is to help manage retirees to make sure they're maximizing the benefits that they have and can utilize the benefits they have. And again, we had to significantly increase the cost to our retirees last year because of when we found out the renewal amount for United. We could very easily stay with United. That is on the table. But what that means is they're going to have a rate increase, and it's going to cost them more.
What would it cost them more?
Currently, for just a retiree, they're paying $87.43. It would go up to $99 a month for just the retirees.
$1 increase.
And right now, if we were to move to that net plan, we'd be saving them about the same amount.
Okay.
So none of the providers were willing to lock in their rates past a year. There's some changes going on with Medicare that none of them were willing to predict out a year. But again, with the analysis provided by Bolton and our HR department, the disruptions should be minimal. And again, we are bringing in an entity to help us manage those disruptions. So Katie will be able to contact Retiree First and put our retirees in contact with an entity to help them manage this change. And so our recommendation is let's save the retirees money. The plan is, if not the same, better. We feel that they're getting as good a coverage. Yes, there could be some hiccups with individual people, but it's not a whole host of people. And
If any.
Those hiccups
If
be?
any.
if any,
If any.
Yep, if any.
What would they be?
Well, the hiccup could be that there is, as the formulary changes every year for any health insurance company saying that this drug is not covered any longer under the plan. Those would be the hiccups that we could potentially see. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but there is that potential.
What happens when this drug that this person relies on and this insurance doesn't cover it anymore? What happens then?
So there's a couple different possibilities. Actually, all three of our coverages allow it, and it's something with Medicare that if it is if there are no other options for that individual, they can petition against that company to say, we have gone through X, Y, and Z steps to make sure that this person truly is not getting better with this medication. Can we have an exception to cover this drug, and what does that pricing look like? We've actually already have done that for retirees previously, so it's not unheard of. It's just that extra step, and part of bringing on Retiree First is they will help assist not only the retirees, the providers, and our office moving through all of those processes as well. So that's a very normal occurrence with any insurance company, in all honesty. One of the biggest disruptions that we heard when we moved to this kind of plan was that we were moving to a Medicare Advantage plan, not what our retirees had had previously with a Medicare supplement plan. This is not changing those coverages that they have now, so it's still remaining that Medicare Advantage plan. So we don't anticipate that high level of disruption or noise from our retiree group, because the actual process of everything is staying the exact same. They're just getting that updated ID card from a different insurance company.
And you might have answered my question already. Retiree First, this is something that you're proposing to bring in for the first time. In other words, is it like a third-party agency? I read what it does, which is important. Help implement management retiree programs, answer questions, and navigate, and I understand the importance of that. So this is a first time? That's one of my questions.
Yes, we have never had this product before. I believe the city of Salisbury already uses them, and so does the Board of Education already uses them.
Yep.
And as such, we felt that we kind of made it part of our RFP process that Retiree First needed to be included in our retiree, and so it is covered in this cost.
That was my next question.
Yes, so there is no additional cost to the county other than the amount that we have stated to you. It is included, and Aetna has a good working relationship with Retiree First. Care First product is a relatively new product, and so they don't have as much working relationship with Retiree First. And again, we have done United without Retiree First, but again, we felt that this was the time to bring it in. It gives our HR department another arm without having to pay anything additional than what we already pay.
If it's within the cost, it's probably a good efficiency as well. For those who are on the front line answering questions, better to have somebody who's professional at it to do
Correct.
that. I have another much more mundane. Does the county bill those retirees? Is that automated by any chance, or is there any electronic? With my company, I'm looking at some similar things, and we're trying to get more.
So we currently do bill the monthly fee to the retirees, their share. That comes through us.
Right.
And then the health insurance companies bill the employee share or the retiree share.
How are we billing? I'm getting down.
Monthly.
And there's kind of two parts to that question. So our over 65 group, the piece that is the medical and prescription their bill is sent directly from that insurance company. So currently United Healthcare is sending a direct bill to our retirees. That over 65 population still has a vision and dental policy through Care First. That is billed directly from the county. So there's two methods there. With the medical and prescription side, there's a bit more flexibility in payments. They're allowed to pay it online, over the phone, mail in a payment, have it directly debited from an account. There's a couple different options.
That's on the insurance company side, the carrier side, but not on the county.
Correct.
County.
So currently, the county doesn't have that part, and we don't have that for any of our retirees.
So that's fully, we're mailing.
Yes, and and the finance department does the collections and then keeps HR informed as to who has not yet paid.
I'll just be curious if there's not an automated way to accomplish that as well. If there's some.
At this moment, it is not in our, but it is something that we can look at for the future. But right now, those bills go out so that we can keep track of them through our Munis system.
Okay.
Josh.
Maybe you said this already, but what was the reason for the 14% jump? What do they cite to say that this was
healthcare costs?
Big pig.
Yeah. the cost of administering healthcare and just the changes from how the federal government is administering Medicare, as well as sending funding to those insurance companies for how they are administering their plans.
So again, we felt it was a benefit to both our retirees and the county as a whole to look at this during this fiscal year, and that's how this process came about. So we are asking to be put on the agenda for the next meeting for a resolution to give the executive the authority to sign the contract. As such, then we would start the implementation, and the implementation would be a combined effort between the new entity, Aetna, Retiree First, RHR, and Bolton would be supporting us.
I wanted to add with what Dave just said, and this could be a really, really stupid question. Would it not be possible at all to deduct that fee from their salary since?
Yeah, but they're all retirees, so there is no salary. So we aren't paying them anything. We do that right now for all of our
employees. Is there any benefits that are going to the retirees, or it could be deducted from the retirees?
So we've looked at it.
Anything like that?
We've looked at it through pension, and there's too many different options that Aetna, with our pension side, is not able to administer those deductions from the pays.
All right. All right. Everybody okay with this? Moving forward with it, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Great. Ms. Hurley.
I just
Yes.
have one question. Is this a multi-year contract?
So we are going to structure it such that we would have the option to renew. There is no rates for the next year, but at this moment, based on the rates that we got, we don't anticipate wanting to go out to bid again. So why we are bringing it to the council is that it could very easily be a multi-year. It would probably be a year with renewals, and I know that is under the executive because it's 1 year at a time. But I wanted council to be aware of this change, and if all you want to do in an open session, or if you want to just do it in this session and say the executive has the right to sign a 1-year deal with renewals, I'm fine with that too. I felt it was important that council is aware that we wanted to make this change.
I agree with you. So my concern is, if I heard you correctly, you said that you're not going to have the contract ready though at the next meeting.
No, it would have to be that the council is giving the executive the authority to sign the contract, like we do with grant agreements, is that you're giving the executive, because it's not going to be ready in 2 weeks.
So typically on multi-year contracts, though, the council is actually approving the contract.
So I think the contract is going to be written as a 1-year deal with the option to renew, because we don't have any costs yet for beyond the next year. So we may decide that it has to be rebid again when we get to this point next year. I'm hoping not, because this was a process. We started this in April, May timeframe and have been working on it continuously since then.
So it would be on the agenda for the next meeting.
And again, as she stated, you're giving the executive the authority to sign the contract. You're not approving the contract.
1 year.
It's a 1-year, it would be a 1-year deal with the potential to renew.
Almost one and the same. I mean, it's.
Again, because until we knew which way the council was going, we weren't going to notify Aetna and tell them, start writing a contract. It's not going to get through our legal, their legal in 2 weeks. I just can't. But I need us to be on, I need you guys to give us approval on September 1st that we're moving that way so that they will start the implementation process, because we do need 4 months to do the implementation. So we will be working with them on the contract and implementation simultaneously.
Well, maybe the contract could say that the executive signed this with the understanding that it will be effective upon council approval. Sometimes that little disclaimer is included in contracts, which allows them to move forward, but still with the understanding this is government and we still have to follow the prior.
I mean, if you want to pass a resolution that the contract then comes back, that's fine. I just need something in an open meeting that the council has given permission for us to move forward with implementation.
It's fine, we'll work with legal.
Because if we don't have something to do that moving forward, then implementation gets pushed back and we can't miss January 1st.
I'm going to go back to one of my first questions. One of the big problems we had before is people couldn't buy the prescriptions from the drugstore that they wanted. Is that going to be an issue this time? And have you asked Aetna that question?
So that's something that's always included in the RFPs, as Josh has mentioned.
What?
The RFP process, as
Uh-huh.
Josh has mentioned, where we compare the formulary disruptions.
Mhm.
That's exactly what you are mentioning. And the Aetna network is actually larger than what United Healthcare's was, so we don't anticipate that disruption.
All right, okay.
I have one
Yes, sure.
question too. I'm talking to Joe. Some drugstores do not take that particular insurance, or don't carry that, not the insurance, but don't carry the medication. And you would have to go somewhere else. And then you know, a lot of drugstores are closing. So you have the smaller drugstores. I think the major, we have CVS here, and we have,
There's
no, Rite Aid's gone.
Walgreens is still exists.
Walgreens,
And then you've got the
Walmart.
grocery, and I think Acme has
Acme
one.
got it. But Walmart, the big ones, like Walmart, because I was a Rite Aid fan. Then you have Apple Drugs.
And then I think Target still has a pharmacy.
So you get the drugstores that take, because the Walgreens, they say, look, the stores over there look like it's empty, they're getting empty.
So again, we believe that the things that we are going to put in place are going to minimize any disruption, if any, that we have.
Aetna's good insurance, because my family members had it.
Yeah, and I would just share, generally speaking, they're a major player, obviously, in the MAPD market, them and United. It's just that they have much better access down here specifically, so it seems like a good fit.
All right, you're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We'll be back September 1st.
Young man.
That's it? Motion to adjourn?
Did you just graduate from high school?
Motion.
I know you do.
So moved.
It's funny, the first council meeting I did.
Entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second? Second.